Welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. You are gathered with us for the Winner's Circle. We are back, episode 17, Saturday, January 11th, the first episode of the new year. I think Anika's here. Are you here, Miss Anika? I'm not sure, but huh. Can you hear me? Maybe she's having some technical difficulties. Needless to say, we are back at it. Thank you for joining us as always. If you're here with us, if you're new to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. If you're with us on Twitch, hit that follow. If you're checking this out on the Clock app, give us a follow there as well. Hearts all the way around if you can give them. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you as always for being here with us. I don't think we will have Sammy Joe today, but I do expect Anika. We do have some interesting stuff to get into. We have our debut of Raw on Netflix. The Raw is the Raw on Netflix era, the Netflix era, I guess. We'll talk about that. That's what Triple H called it. Something to that effect. I forget the exact wording. And then we'll crack open NXT New Year's Evil from the following night. And then AEW Dynamite from last Wednesday. So if you're here with us, chime in the chat. Let us know which show of the week you liked the best, what you thought of Monday Night Raw's debut on Netflix. And I was looking it up because I didn't feel like it had been that long. But apparently, I guess it's already been 3 months that the NXT has been on CW. It seems like it's been less time than that, but it said October 1st. 2024 it made its CW debut. So, needless to say, both Raw has had a change and NXT has had a change in the last little bit here. So, new and exciting things happening with WWE. We'll get into it, but I have some feelings about WWE, and honestly, to a certain extent, I kind of wish that I had better better moral high ground and wasn't watching them. Um, I know Vince is gone, and I have no idea what kind of real company. I mean, I don't do enough research, so it's hard to comment on what kind of company Endeavor or TKO is. I'm not even sure what the actual name of the company is anymore that owns it. But like I've said before on here, Triple H is of that Vince McMahon learning tree. So, I have a hard time separating them. And, they still do. I don't know. I still just have a hard time supporting them. And, their opening package on Monday Night Raw for their debut on Netflix was at minimum disconcerting. But I thought it was very telling about what WWE still is as a company. Terrence from Tampa was all over it. And you all know Workhorse Wrestling Network's opinions on Terrence from Tampa. So that already set me off. They had the Rock on, and I've recently changed my views on him as he is a supporter of He Who Shall Not Be Named. And so, my ability to support him is gone, unfortunately. And he used to be, probably my favorite wrestler of all time. Actually, both of those guys at one point were my favorite wrestlers of all time when I was very little. Terrence from Tampa was my favorite wrestler, and then, in the 90s and in the early 2000s, The Rock was my favorite wrestler. So, it's very disappointing to see that it doesn't ultimately matter to a certain extent what these people do, but that they just continue to. Can you hear me?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. All right.
I am so sorry. Like
no,
literally.
it's okay. Huh?
Yeah, literally. right before we started, emergency. I'm like, are you serious right now?
No, it's all good. I
But
was
here
just
we
busy
go.
droning away at them about. I was trying to waste time until you got here. I was just getting ready to start talking about my. I was talking about my issues with Terrence from Tampa and The Rock. So, for without further ado, we'll go ahead and start discussing Monday Night Raw on Netflix.
On Netflix.
Very first debut show. Miss Anika, overall, before we just get into it, what was your overall thought of the show?
After watching it, my overall thought of the show was this wasn't entirely for fans. Or okay, sorry, let me be more specific. Old fans. This was definitely like, oh, you don't know who we are? This is Raw. This is professional wrestling. This is what it's all about. Now, since you know, now that you know all of the things, next Monday when we officially start, you won't be so caught off guard. It's like, are you okay? I don't think. And then in my mind, I'm like, yes, this is Raw. You're going to get some new fans, but you're not going to get enough where you have to do all of the things to be like, this is this is our company, and this is why you should watch.
Yeah, it definitely felt like they were they pulled out all the stops to try to make it, whatever to bring. Yeah, like you said, bringing people that aren't familiar with it or that aren't regular watchers, but use Netflix on a regular basis. I guess people, it has been, a while now since people have migrated really from traditional cable to things like Netflix or Max or other stuff. So it's possible
Yeah.
that some people haven't seen Raw in a long time, or potentially maybe haven't ever seen it or whatever. So, I tend to think you're right that most of the time it's going to be the same fans that were watching it wherever it was. I mean, WWE has its dedicated fans, and even more compartmentalized. People have their WWE has their Raw fans and their SmackDown fans, right? And sometimes they don't even like the other
Yeah.
shows. So, just to make it even more bizarre. But yeah, I mean, I overall I thought there were some issues with the show, but I think you're right. I think they did. It definitely wasn't for the traditional fan. That being said, I thought they had some solid matches mixed in with a
Oh
terrible
yeah.
show itself, but they definitely pulled out all the stops. So yeah, so I guess let's
They
just
definitely did.
start it. So they had the opening video package. I just want to talk about that a little, just because it had Terrence from Tampa all over it so much, and I really hoped that. Don't get me wrong. I was just saying this while I was treading water until you got here. That everyone wants to talk about how great Triple H is, and I'm not saying that he's not doing a good job, but and I say this all the time, but he is. I believe firmly he's from that Vince learning tree, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I believe that, and despite everything that man has done, Triple H still looks, not Vince, but Terrence from Tampa. Triple H still looks up to him with some sort of reverence, as being the pioneer and his guy, and the guy I watched and the guy I followed and those kind of things. So like, and he's a white guy, he's not melanated, so it doesn't really affect him, right? So it's like, and I'll be honest with you, like I know that a lot of people love Triple H, and maybe this is a spicy thing to say, behind closed doors, nothing would surprise me. Let's just put it that way. So,
Oh
and
God.
I don't think you can surround yourself with people that have those kind of views and not at least somewhat condone them yourself, if not, what I'm saying, participate too. So, at the same time, I don't know the man. I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but I just have my own personal views on that. So, you know, I was very disappointed in that. It just kind of in that stuff. I mean, other than that, I thought the video package was good. I mean, I thought the opening package was good. I was just disappointed
Yeah.
with Terrence all over it. I was hoping we'd do something to separate ourselves now that Vince was gone and all the
Right.
stuff was going to happen.
So here's the thing. I'm gonna. I am one of those people who let me be very specific. I am a Triple H fan. I don't know who Paul from Levesque is. I don't when they say his name. I don't like them saying his name. Where I'm just like, look, I know that he is a oh what you call it. He is a executive now. He's not a wrestler anymore. But as long as he's on my TV, he is Triple H, and address him accordingly. So that being said, I'm gonna give the grace, the ignorant, naive grace. I'm gonna be very personal with all those things. I think this was a Nikambu because they're partnering with this beer. They need money, blah blah blah. And then probably one of the stipulations was, oh, it's my beer. I'm going to promote it. And I'm not sure who I was talking to. I'm not sure who the hey D. I'm not sure who I was talking about this with, but I think sometimes Triple H is petty. And I say this: sometimes when he suggests stuff and people think they know better, he's like, "All right, I'll let you have it." Case in point, last year when I think it's clearly he wanted Cody versus Roman as the main event, but Rock said no, I want Rock versus Roman. And he was like, "All right, I'll let you have it." And then it was a whole boo, we want Cody thing. And it's like, oh, are we good now? Are we good? Are you listening to me now? In my mind, this is that where he was probably telling people. Or okay, not him, but you can't tell me somebody was like, "Look, I'm telling y'all, yes, it's his beer, but it's not. This is a bad situation to put him in." And so they didn't listen. They're like, he's like, "All right, have at it." Look. So when he gets booed, because and it's like when you get put off the stage. You listen to me now? You listen to me? Are we gonna have this conversation again where I say something and y'all don't listen because y'all don't know the fans and y'all are just doing business deals? Okay, thank you.
Dolores says Triple H. You mean the man who had that promo against Booker and had DX with blackface? Yeah, I mean, we get it.
What? A lot of people were doing stuff in the 90s and we didn't know that it was wrong. So let's not do that.
So all right, so let's crack into the show. So they had the opening package, and then it flashes to the arena, and there appears to be. I mean, I couldn't tell at first until it actually dropped what it was, but it appears there was like a curtain around the whole ring, and so
Real
then it
quick.
starts to start.
So my dad's in production. He called it a kabuki curtain. I'm like, oh, that's what it's called. It's like, yes, it's called kabuki curtain, where it's basically the whole dramatic effect of it. Yeah, I go.
Interesting. So they drop it down, and Triple H is in the middle of. Essentially, I mean, it's a regular wrestling ring, but it's definitely different. It's got a new mat. On the mat, if you notice, is covered in advertisements. My friend texted me after the show began and was like, "I wonder how long it'll be before the wrestlers are wearing gear that has advertisements all over it." Because that was the second thought. But so it's a black canvas with a bunch of and all. It looked like all white ropes, if I'm not mistaken. I think the ropes were just white.
It's all white ropes, yes.
Which is a little different for Raw. So
yeah.
What do you think of the new ring? Oh, obviously Triple H. Oh, I'm sorry. Before the thing came down, you heard Triple H's voice, and he gave you this like, well, yeah, rumbly, gravelly Triple H, traditional, talked about the new era on Netflix, essentially, and here we are, blah blah blah. And what do you think of his little opening promo before the curtains dropped, or the kabuki curtain dropped?
The kabuki curtain. So I think, like you said, this whole beginning was cool. It's like. And honestly, if you would have just left it at that, it would have the thing that came. So we're going to talk about both segments. You only needed one of these segments. You only need a Triple H segment or you need a Rock segment. You didn't need both. I think both together sucked. So when you start off with just starting off with this, it's like, all right, cool. All right, cool. For the new viewers, this is our company. This is what we're doing. They're like. In the deal package, they're like, this is predetermined, so please stop talking about, oh, we already know who the winner is. Like, yes, we do, but we still love it. So like, before you even get there, we're gonna tell you predetermined. You won't know, so shut up about that. But they're like, yeah, and they're like, the Netflix era, are you ready? I'm like, so yes, in a book, like if we just start right here and get on with the show, it went perfectly fine. Mat wise, the mat reminded me of a boxing ring. It's like I know boxing rings have little advertisements on the floor, so it's like, okay, how they did it was fine for me. It looked like a boxing ring. Cool. So, like I said, in this vacuum, this is our product. Netflix fans who don't know enjoy. It was cool.
I think it's a little interesting because Vince did a lot to separate themselves from being sports, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he made it very clear we're entertainment, and yet it felt like the ring was kind of like you said, more like a boxing, more like a MMA kind of ring, more like a
Yeah.
traditional sports fighting ring, which I think is interesting. That as you continue to try to separate yourself as not a sport, you're making your ring look more sports oriented. So
Well,
that's a little interesting.
so I think it was Triple H and I think it was KO, TKO, because the TKO is part of the MMA. So it's like, no, no,
Correct.
no, we still love wrestling.
Yeah.
That guy's not here, so professional wrestling. This is not sports entertainment
Right.
anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, like you said, so Triple H, are you ready? It's time for it's time for the Netflix era, more pyro, and then the lights go out, and here comes the electricity on the jumbotron and the Rock. The what is he calling himself right now? The final
Still final
boss,
boss.
the final
I
boss.
heard it was also Hype Chief,
Okay,
but I know it's definitely still the final boss. But I think it's
yeah.
also the High Chief now,
So
not
he came
Tribal
out and
Chief,
basically
High
said
Chief.
nothing. He came out
Yeah,
and basically said nothing. You used to watch wrestling, blah blah blah, this way that way. Now
yeah.
here's a new era. You can watch it on Netflix. Just basically hyping up WWE Netflix. I'll be honest with you. Now I'm bitter with both of these guys. Well, with Terrence and Tampa, and now The Rock too. Now stuff that he was trying to, I guess, I feel like he was hiding because he sure wasn't outspoken about it. That has come out about his personal feelings on things. Good. So you can take that shit and go on. Bye, Felicia. So as far as I'm concerned, I didn't need this either, and I thought 30 minutes of this, and then by the time this whole thing is all done, and we'll get to the next part of it, this was the first hour of Raw for me was very like, oh shit, this is terrible to a certain extent. So
I'll say it again. They didn't need both. They didn't need both things. Now, I think when they were talking about this, they're like, okay, I don't think they knew what The Rock was going to say either. So they're like, okay, The Rock will do a promo. It probably was just that. Rock will do the promo and we're done. All right, bet. But then The Rock was just, again, he wasn't final boss. He wasn't a character. This was The Rock, board member of TKO. Where he's like, I think Netflix, I think our advertisers, I think the people TKO. It's like, this was very much so. This should not be on television. This is supposed to be for the board of directors and our advertisements. This should not have been on television. And again, I don't think they knew what they were going to say. If they knew he was going to basically do the same thing Triple H did, but more so towards all the advertisement and stuff, he's in charge. I'm not sure how much they can control that, but I think they would have cut something. They would have cut maybe something from Triple H's promo. But it's like
right.
you basically said the same thing twice. And then let's talk about him acknowledging Cody. And so this sounded like a manager of a TK Corporation. And so he's like,
Yeah.
the man who has been carrying the WWE for the past whole year. I like to acknowledge Cody Rhodes. Thank you for your service. Tell Mama Rose hi. And this was basically, this is basically a board member meeting. And so people were like, he just broke kayfabe. He wasn't the final boss here. He was literally just a board member saying hi and acknowledging his employees, advertisements, and things. I will say this did not need to be on television, though. It didn't need to be on television.
I agree. Well, I mean, WWE as a whole, don't get me wrong, like there's not a whole lot of matches at the moment that they can really put on that I get super excited about to begin with. At the same time, like
Yeah.
you could have had more matches and a lot less of this stuff. So, but
Oh,
obviously it's their debut on Netflix. Like you said, they want to bring in people. They want to bring in people that are casual viewers or non-viewers. So they want to get everybody that everybody knows out there. You get Triple H first, and you get The Rock, and then you get Roman Reigns coming down
mhm.
next for the first
Oh,
match of the night. Go ahead.
real quick. This
Yeah.
also told me that Rock ain't coming to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
He's like, this really told me He didn't want to wrestle. I ain't wrestling WrestleMania. I ain't wrestling against Cody. I'm not trying to kill it, but it ain't happening this year.
So Dolores says you're echoing bad. I don't hear it on
Oh,
my end, but
so I heard on my ear. This what happened yesterday, but I asked him it was cool. So one moment here.
yeah, I mean, I don't hear it on my end at all, but maybe on YouTube, I'm not sure. Um, Needless to say, we did get into our first match, tribal combat for the Ulafala. Solo Sokoa, the current tribal chief, and versus Roman Reigns, the original tribal chief,
So
OTC.
self-appointed, but yes, he is the tribal
Say
chief.
that again. Now you're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, self-appointed, but he is the tribal chief.
Yes.
Solo.
So I mean, I don't, there's so much to talk about here. Basically, what I will say is that everything you could imagine ended up happening because it's a tribal combat match. Everybody ended up ultimately coming down. We've got Tongaloa comes down. Eventually, Kevin Owens comes down. Eventually, Cody Rhodes comes down. Jey Uso comes down. It ends up being quite the cluster of people. I know this was an attempt to get everybody on on show and on camera at the same, not necessarily at the same time, but you have 2 hours as your Raw debut. You want to get everybody on at the same time. Like when this was done after an hour, I was like, this is not good. I'm not a Roman Reigns fan. I didn't think the match between him and Solo, what little bit of an actual match there was all that great. It is what it is. This is the bloodline. This is the story you've been telling, and I get it. At the same time, it wasn't. I said this first hour was terrible, but that's because I'm talking about the stuff with Terrence and Tampa and The Rock being there and the Triple H stuff that I didn't need. All those things combined. This itself wasn't terrible. If this had been the only thing that had taken place and this was the first half an hour or 40 minutes, it wouldn't necessarily have been terrible. At the same time, it's still, I'm not a big fan of these where everything gets way out of control, and eventually, you don't really have what I would call any kind of a real match. But Roman Reigns does end up getting the spear and does get the win in the very end and gets his Umafala back. And then The Rock comes down to basically shake Roman's hand and acknowledge him after he has regained the Umafala and apparently his position as tribal chief. I guess Solo's going to fall in line. I'm not totally sure what's going to happen, but we shall see. What do you think of this match in general and all of everything that happened? Oh, you're muted, I think. I cannot hear you. All right. Well, Anika gets her
Can you
audio
hear me?
situation. Yes. Now we can. Oh, now we can't again. Somehow you're muted again. Can hear you for a second.
All right. So real quick.
Now.
Any more? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
There you go. Okay, cool. All right. So you're not a Roman fan. I am a Roman fan. So this was totally up my alley. So they did a Solo and Paul Heyman did a promo battle on Friday, and he was like,
Okay.
"Paul, I trust you. Here's the Ulafala. If whoever wins, I trust you're going to give the Ulafala to the winner, and you will be my wise man." That gave me a little. I was worried. I'm like, y'all real life gonna let him? They're gonna let him be Roman? No, we can't do this. For me, and of course, it's gonna be shenanigans. So I wasn't mad about whole, Jimmy, Sammy, Tama, Jacob. Like, all right,
Kevin
yeah, it's
Owens,
supposed to happen.
Cody Rhodes, the kitchen sink, the jobbers from catering, everybody and their
Now,
mama.
See, there were no jobbers from catering. There was only new blood, old blood, and then now KO came out. I was like, oh, this is it. Cause he's so bad. And I was like, Cody came out like, see, it's like KO don't like you. What? This ain't none of your business. Like, why are you even here? So honestly, yeah, KO coming out. That was more life to me. I'm like, I hate you, but I understand. You got hit by a golf cart, so I totally understand why you feel this way. I understand. And then, but like you said, Roman won. The whole thing with Roman and Raw. People were talking about what angle. I think it was just family. People forget that Roman lost his uncle and his dad last year, like relatively last, like late last year. So I think that was just like, this is a Samoan story. I'm hugging you. This is for you. This is for the Wild Samoans. Nice thing. So I think that's why. So people, I'm not sure if people forgot about that or people didn't put two and two together. But that's what I got when Roman when Rock came out and put the Ula Fowler on Roman. It was just like, it's for the Wild Samoans. We acknowledge them. Okay, fine. And I had to retire the joke. Oh, so you're the tribal chief because your daddy and your half daddy put a red necklace over you. Fine. But yeah, no. So like, I like this was the first match too. I know it's probably was a debate of who should go first or who should go last, either this or Seth versus CM Punk. So I am glad this went first. So I'm fine with those.
So then we had they panned. I mean, this is a spectacle and event. They panned out to the crowd, and you see everybody and the mother. I'm not even going to go through everybody they showed. Ashton Kutcher, Rey Mysterio, a whole bunch of people are there. It is the event. Next, we get another superstar legend that we don't need out here. Also, basically doing roughly, kind of in some regards, similar to what Triple H and The Rock did, but in a little bit different vein. The music hits in. It is Never Give Up. Hustle, loyalty, respect, Mr. John Cena. And he makes his way down to the ring, grabs the mic, and says he feels something a little different. This is the first time that Raw is streaming across the world. Yada, 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 yada. And that ultimately what came out of this is that he is going to enter the Royal Rumble and win the Royal Rumble. And then he's going to WrestleMania and winning the world title. What did you think of John Cena? Did we need him? Did you feel the same way about him as you did about The Rock? I haven't heard necessarily the same bad things about Cena that I have, so I still have a little bit of hope that maybe he's somewhat of a decent guy. I know some of the stuff that went down with, is it Nikki or Brie? Which one was he with? Nikki, right?
It was Nikki. Yep.
Maybe didn't come off all that great for him, but at least he doesn't have the moniker of being racist at this point. So,
now he was up and ready to defend old boy. Vince is my person. He put me on whatever. But no. Besides that, I feel about Cena how you feel about Roman.
Okay.
I've been through slings and arrows of 2009 to 2014. So him coming back and him having this big crescendo promo was pissing me off. And then LA freaking getting all hot and heavy about, oh snap. Y'all reacting to every freaking thing he says was pissing me off too. Because you're telling people Morzo the creative, oh, if we give him a title match, y'all would like it. So I did not like none of this crap. I'm sorry. Okay. He took People were like, oh, we were too hard on him. No, we weren't. Unless you were in there. No, we weren't. This was probably the worst years of wrestling for me. 2010 to 2014, yes. When the punch away in the face. I don't even know why I kept watching it. I'm pretty sure none of it was on TV. So no offense, the retirement tour of Cena is not appealing to me. Him winning another championship is not appealing to me.
Yeah, I agree.
But LA responded, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen. So
I agree. I
whatever.
don't need another Cena run. And at the time in the vacuum, like I was a Cena fan, and I didn't really necessarily have a problem with a lot of what was going on. But now looking back at it and watching old Cena footage, I don't mind revising my opinion and saying that he was a very limited wrestler. Probably his best uh, wrestling skill is his promo, I suppose. He's a solid talker, but in the ring, he's definitely limited. Has the worst STF of all time, that's for sure. Um, and yeah, I mean, at this point, like trot him out periodically for whatever, but I don't need to really see him wrestle anymore. And I definitely don't need to see him win the Royal Rumble and or have another title run. I can't imagine that you're going to have him win the Royal Rumble and then not win the title. So my guess is that if you see him win the Royal Rumble, he's probably going to win the title. I think that's probably pretty predictable. My only hope is that somehow he doesn't end up winning the Royal Rumble. They decide to not let him do that. At the same time, Cody Rhodes, not that he needs it, but he better not win the Royal Rumble. I guess he won't be in the Rumble, right? But I was going to say, we definitely need
He
someone
won't.
new.
He's actually have a match with KO.
Okay, so
So
we don't need him in the Rumble. Well, he's champ anyhow, right? So
yeah, thank God.
don't need him in the Rumble again. We don't need another Cody Rumble win. All right, so moving along, we have more people in the crowd. They showed a whole bunch, and then we get our women's title match. Liv Morgan, your retaining or your defending champion, against Rhea Ripley. Is this the third match since Rhea's been back, or the second? This is the third, right?
So when you say be back, what do you mean be back? Like
Since she
after, like
came
when?
back from being gone for so long, and then has been basically coming out since basically she since Liv put her on the shelf and Liv and Dom were parading around, and then Rhea came back. When was that? October, November? She came back just recently, a couple months ago, and we've had two
Oh,
or three matches. Or
so
was it
you talking about
SummerSlam? Maybe it was a little
so yeah,
earlier.
the attack on NXT. Uh, yeah, this she had War Games. I think that was
Right.
it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
after
So
the
this,
attack on
okay. So
NXT.
needless to say, I mean, she beat Rhea the first time. Rhea came back and had a match with her, and Liv won. I'm drawing a blank on exactly where that was at or when that was. Was that at War Games? If it
So
was,
some when she came back SummerSlam, that was their match to get the title back. Down
okay.
betrayed her, and I huh, I want to say they did it one more time. Yes, yes, they did it one more time, and that's when Raquel Rodriguez came and debuted. So this is
That's
their
when
third
Raquel came
time.
back.
Yes.
That's right. Okay. Okay. So maybe that's yes. So this is their third match. So finally, after what, three riptides during the match and two to finish it off, Rhea Ripley got the pin on Liv Morgan and regained her women's world
Yay.
championship. Then afterwards, Dirty Dom climbed in the ring and tried to be like, "Oh, Rhea, what's up, girl? You want me? I was just messing around. Come on, I never liked
You,
Liv. It's all you.
she
It's all
didn't mean
you."
nothing. She
She
didn't
wasn't
mean
having it. Needless to say, she wasn't having it. So, what'd you think of the match and the post-match stuff?
nothing. So I will say this: the very decent match. Not they don't do well with other people, but Liv and Rhea are actually good together in the ring. So it was a very fun match. I am glad they got this belt off of Liv. Like let's call it a spade a spade. If it wasn't for this storyline, for me, Liv was not supposed to be champion. No, no offense. So I'm glad they got this belt off of her. Uh, thinking forward, like we're in WrestleMania season. I'm not sure who's supposed to face Rhea for this belt though. I'm pretty
Charlotte
sure
does
they're
not
gonna
live.
come up with somebody, but I'm more excited about someone beating facing Rhea than someone facing Liv. So I'm very, very happy that they got this belt off her.
Yeah, I agree. I was hoping that Rhea was going to win. I guess maybe it was SummerSlam. Yeah, it must have been SummerSlam. But whenever Rhea first came back after being off the shelf for it had to be like 6 months, whatever it was. So she was gone for a while, and she blamed it was Liv's fault. She came back and she lost when she should have won, in my opinion. Because as far as I'm concerned, I always talk about levels to this, and Rhea's here, and Liv is here for me. So in my opinion, right, both talent wise and just drawing power and likability and marketability and all those things. Rhea, I think Rhea has it. She has that X factor, and I'm not sure that I think that Liv does. So it is what it is. But finally, Rhea gets the title as Rhea is celebrating after spurning Dominic and giving him a riptide too, which was awesome to see.
Yes,
You hear
it
the motorcycle, you hear the gong, which I think is
was.
interesting. I don't necessarily remember the gong leading out the American badass music. Has it always been like that?
So they did it when he first came back. When I say Judgment Day 2020 with the little girls, he's here. They did it
Okay.
twice on there, and then they think they
But
got
in
rid
the
of it.
but
So
in
they
the
did a little
American
bit.
badass era, there was no gong in the beginning of his music, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like,
Yeah.
I want to say before keep rolling, 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 roll. They
Yeah.
hit it,
Okay.
but yeah, at some point in time they got rid of the gong when he was like all right, this he's not going back to being the dark and
The
creepy. Yeah,
Undertaker, the mortician, right? Yeah. So
yeah,
the gong hits, and then keep rolling, rolling, rolling hits, and here comes the Undertaker, American Badass, on his motorcycle,
yeah.
does a lap around the ring, stops with his back to the crowd next to Rhea Ripley, puts his Undertaker fist up, and then disappears again. I guess it
Yeah.
is what it
So,
is. Don't
so
get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. It's everything I wish that we would have seen from John Cena and The Rock, right? Just come in, show your face real quick, and be gone. Don't hold up the stage in the show for 20 minutes. That being said, if you're going to come out, you got to say something and do a little bit more than just ride your bike around and disappear. So,
so here's the thing. Two things. As someone who character wise, I the badass with Big Mommy, I did love. I wanted her to get on the bike and
I
ride
did
off
too.
into the sunset. But
I did
they're
too.
both married, so I'm not sure what the parenters of their other spouses say about that stuff. But I did want that. I'm like, get on the bike, get on the bike. All right, fine. I'll settle for a little arm. Now, side note, they said that the spot was supposed to be for Taker. They actually wanted Becky Lynch to come out and face Rhea, but for some
Interesting.
reason they couldn't get it done. So uh
Interesting.
it might be an impromptu, like, okay, Becky's not here, we'll just bring in Taker. And again, for people who there's a lot of people, when I say I like wrestling, they go immediately to the Attitude Era. Oh, Hulk Hogan. Oh, no, sorry. Oh, Stone Cold. Oh, The Rock. Oh, Taker. So for the '90s babies, and this really was very heavy, like you said, with the celebrities and the people here. This was very '90s heavy, where it's like, hey, if you watch when you were a kid, we're back, and it's actually pretty good. So I'm pretty sure someone from the kid from the '90s like, Taker, yeah. So yeah.
We have Bailey backstage telling Adam Pearce to get it done. Then
Talking about challengers for Rhea, I would not mind Bailey versus Rhea.
I think that would be a
That would
very
be
solid
very
program. As long
tasty.
as Rhea wins, I'm fine with that. I would be
Yeah,
very
yeah.
happy with that
Like,
program.
I'm trying to think. Rhea went against Charlotte. Rhea went against Becky. Maybe she's trying to take out all four spots. We can't do Sasha because she's Monet. But if you want to do that story,
Yeah,
it's right there.
making her rounds. Chad Gable's out with his patriotic partners, and he wants a lucha fight next week. And Adam Pearce says, "Sure, we don't know who it's going to be. At this point, it's a mystery partner. Should be fun. I like Chad Gable, so Travis Scott's in the crowd,
Real quick, no,
smoking
no,
a
no.
blunt.
Do you have an assumption of who the luchador is going to be?
Why do I feel like it's going to end up being Rey Mysterio? Which I don't know that I want that.
Oh, okay. It's not going to be Ray. We're not going to spoil it, but I'm pretty sure it's Zero Nero.
Oh,
He's like
ooh.
your best luchador.
That's got my blood moving now. I hadn't even thought of that. I forgot that he had actually signed and that we're just waiting for him. That Chad Gable versus Penta would be amazing. So I'm definitely here for that. So
It better be him.
all
Okay.
right. Travis Scott smoking a blunt in the crowd,
Bro,
and then
we're on Netflix.
we are on Netflix, and Jey
I'm like,
Uso is here to
hold
make his entrance with Travis Scott down to the ring for his match with Drew McIntyre. I thought this was fun. I enjoyed this. I thought Jimmy's little entrance was cool. I enjoyed it.
So, like, as a production nerd, this was very much so. I loved every like, even like. I know the blunt smoke was only a little bit, but then you're gonna put the smoke all up in the. I'm like, really? That one blunt didn't have the smoke all up in the freaking arena, and then that drone, either a drone shot or a boom shot, where they were just sailing across the whole stage, where they were doing the day one. I'm like, yeah. As a production person, that geeked me up just a little bit. I'm like, all right, okay, let's go.
So Jay gets the win here in a very solid match against Drew. I was very happy to see Jay get the win.
Right?
Honestly, like maybe it's a little bit of an upset just because Drew's Drew at the same time. Like Jay's Jay too, right? And he's been
Yes.
hot for the last year and a half. I mean, basically since the Usos have stopped tag teaming and Jay's been kind of on his own. I mean, I know Jimmy was out and whatever, but and hasn't been necessarily given the singles push that Jay has, but Jay
Yeah.
has been putting in the work. So, yeah, I mean, I was happy to see him get the win here. I'm not a big Drew McIntyre fan, and I love Jay, so I was happy to see
Yep.
Jay get the win here, and I thought this was a solid match. What do you think about this?
And I love the story of Drew could have won, but you again, bro, you gotta get out your own way. Like literally, you had to. It wasn't a definitive Uso splash. I rolled you up because you got your eye off the ball. So again, this is your fault.
Oh, did you freeze? Oh, there you go.
that
I missed what,
was
I
it.
missed
Yeah.
what you said. The last thing you said, you had a
Yo,
frozen your last.
that was Drew. This is your fault.
Yeah, yeah, and again, I mean, I say this was a solid match. It ended in a way that I'm not a big fan of. I talk about not liking roll-ups, especially when the other guy feels healthy, and Drew didn't feel like he was really in a position, even like damaged at all or like wobbly at all, to really suffer a roll-up for 3. But that's a nitpick and that's a complaint. They do it a lot, and it is what it is. So
Yeah.
we've got Gabriel Iglesias backstage, and he's talking about how he loves WWE. And here comes everybody's favorite new heels, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, to talk some shit to Fluffy. And then it brings out the Alpha Academy, and we have a little face-off. What do you think of this little segment with Fluffy and the New Day?
So, like,
I guess. I mean, they still say New Day sucks, so I guess they're still the New Day. But yeah,
definitely.
they almost need to
yeah.
change their
Like,
name. It's not fitting anymore, right? Like,
right. But blah, blah, blah. Sorry. Here we go. But like, you can't. The chant New Day sucks. It's so good. So yeah, we think New Day sucks. This is the Netflix brand of promote one of our specials. Here's Gabriel, and this is a good one because Gabriel is a legit WWE wrestling fan. So like, he was probably like, yeah, bet, let's go. And then Kofi being so stupid, and like, no, they go watch it. They ain't gonna watch your special anyway. I'm like, so yeah, so that was a very nice little added placement of Netflix stuff. Yeah, we can do more of this. Yes.
so because I don't want to talk about him any more than I already have. I'm actually gonna, unless you want to talk about it, I'm gonna skip the Terrence and Tampa part. The only thing I can say is that he was booed, and I'm happy he was booed. I don't really want to talk about anything else unless you want to. I mean, if you want to, you got something to say.
So this was hilarious. I real life want to know who said, "Sure, let's do this," because, and then he was like, and then like, I do feel bad about, because like, okay, when it happened, it was hilarious, but I did feel. Let me go a little lower. A little bit bad because it's like, don't, like, who was this stupid to put him in the spot? And then more so, Jimmy Hart. I'm not sure who Jimmy Hart is, but Jimmy Hart didn't call me any derogatory names. So he was just like, Jimmy Hart is in the back, like, oh shoot, what's going on? And so I felt it's like, right? You know, it's just like, don't do this no more. don't get your, let's not hurt each other's feelings.
I really thought it was bad
Let's
enough
move
when
on.
they had him in the opening package, and then they had him in real life. He was on the screen, and he was in the red and yellow, and I was like, "Oh my god, here we go, really?" I mean, and then before I actually, so I had heard that he had gotten booed, and then I got to that segment because it took me a few days to watch Raw, and I was expecting,
Right.
honestly, he got
Me
booed,
too.
and I enjoyed it. I thought it was more. I kind of thought the way I'd heard about it, it was more like they had implied like, oh, he got booed off stage, which I guess technically he kind of did, but not really. He still said his piece, and I mean, you could tell he didn't look happy, but at
Right.
the same time, it wasn't like they ran him off stage. It wasn't the boo that Dominic gets when he's out in the ring and can't even talk. Like it wasn't quite that definitive. Um, at least it didn't feel that way to me.
I think it was, if it wasn't, it was darn near close. And Dominic spiked in, so that was legit,
That's
boo.
true. Yes, that's true.
Like it was like, at least with John Cena, it's like a yay or no. It's like no,
No.
we all hate you. Don't know why they brought you out
So
here.
that brought us to the main event,
Go home.
which, despite my not liking either guy's character at the moment, and especially not liking CM Punk, this match was way more than I expected it to be. I thought they honestly killed it. Uh, CM Punk got the win, which I was a little disappointed in. I really wanted Seth Rollins to get the win just because I can't stand CM Punk. But this match exceeded my expectations. And honestly, it was so good that I wouldn't mind seeing it again. I often rail against how WWE
Ooh.
doesn't really have the talent to put up the kind of matches that AEW does. And, they only have a few people that I'm even interested in seeing in premier matches. And this was one of those I wasn't necessarily interested in seeing. But both these guys actually, I thought, showed out really good. And CM Punk, who I've had issues with in like his energy and looking kind of old in his last few matches. I
Yeah.
thought here looked a little more rejuvenized, a little more youthful, a little more active. So I don't know if
hmm
that's because he's happy to be back in W. I don't know what that's about, but it seems like he's in a little bit maybe better place, whatever, maybe even just physically. But I thought this was a very solid match. The only problem was CM Punk getting the win.
Yeah.
They both
No,
kicked out of each
totally
other's
agree with you.
finishing moves too many times. I'll say that. But
Yeah. But no, this was a very, very good match. What was I gonna say? That way. I am glad they did it earlier. I know they were trying to be like, oh, let's wait till WrestleMania. We can stretch it out. You couldn't stretch this out. It's like you have to do this now. If you're gonna wait till WrestleMania, nobody would have gonna been freaking interested. Like that's just me. I'm just like, no, do this match now. And like you said, it was so good. If you and they're telling a story of Drew and Seth not getting while everyone's behind Roman, right? So you could rebuild this up to do it again on WrestleMania. I don't think it'll be the main event, but I think it'll be at least the first match or in the middle, like that's right, that right in the middle match where it has to rehab everybody up. I do think you can do that, but I think this was a great placement of this match, and yeah,
yeah, I mean, for
I'm
me,
not mad that CM Punk won. Uh, this helps the downward spiral of Seth. So, like I said, I love it. And all this was the main event too. So this was actually, yeah, very good.
I did find it interesting. Was it earlier in the night? At some point, someone referred to Seth Rollins by his real government name. When did that happen?
Oh yeah, the commentator was like, he came in as blah
Colby
blah blah,
Lopez?
and then he
Yeah.
went to CM Punk's wrestling school, and but he's like he didn't have any money, so he had to wait a little bit, and it was just like yeah. And I'm like,
I remember that standing out because
I
I feel like there was a time where WWE never would have recognized a wrestler whose name that they gave a name their real name. Like that seemed to me like, whoa, this is interesting for WWE. So
what are we doing this for? Why are we this is not necessary?
I mean, I thought it was
Going
good.
back to-
I like it because I think it humanizes these guys, and I think it reminds people that they're really people, and that it's not just Seth Rollins and those kind of things. And I think for the people that know, it's a little nudge to the insiders, not the insiders, but the people that pay attention and know. So I like it. It really surprised me for WWE. I was like, whoa, did I just hear that? They just called him by his real name? Like, that's
Right?
not something they normally do. Like, no, for me, the Rhea and Jay match saved the show. I mean, for me, this is
Yeah.
looking at maybe like a D, C minus, or a D. I mean, to be honest, like I was very disappointed, especially even after the. Don't get me wrong. Like the first match wasn't terrible. I felt like it's let's just throw everything at the wall. Let's have a crazy match and throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And I understand it's all bloodline stuff to a certain extent until KO and Cody come out, and even their peripheral bloodline involvement. So I get that it's that storyline at the same time. It's just doing too much for me, all that stuff. And then the fact that the whole first hour was dominated by Triple H, The Rock, and then this, and then Cena for the next 10 minutes. I mean, I don't get me wrong, extremely happy Rhea's champion again. That match I loved. I thought Rhea looked very good. Happy she got her title back. I enjoyed Drew versus Jay. Nothing to write home about, but I enjoyed it. And the main event I thought was very solid. So those kept it. I'm going to give it a C, just because everything else was so bad in my opinion.
um, like we said it earlier, this was definitely a for the newer fans, for the business partners show. And they're like, okay, since now that y'all all are settled, and then there reports of the Epic Sadness, the actual show is next week. I'm like, what? Okay, sure, fine, whatever. So for that, I will, yeah, solid C. I can't give it a C plus. I can give it a C minus, solid C. Yeah.
I agree. All right, next is NXT New Year's Evil. This was a jam-packed, very exciting, very fun show. I thought, for me, this was everything that Raw wasn't this week,
Right?
which was exciting and fun. It had a lot of people on it that I really enjoy. And honestly, I kind of like that Corey Graves was here with Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett.
Like,
Now,
honestly, Corey, you can tell Corey Graves loves his stint at NXT because every time he had the opportunity to say it on the main roster, he was like Charlotte. They're like 5-time WWE fan. They're like, yeah, 2-time NXT winner. He loves NXT. So this was very good, very grandiose. And it does play off that they're in the same building as Raw. And I'm not sure. I'm gonna say this wasn't before or after hour, right? That would be insane to have a 5-hour ticket.
yeah, I don't think so. It had to be on a different night. I mean, it had to
Yeah.
be, right? I mean, yeah, it
Oh.
had to be.
Okay, yeah. I know, like I was thinking like it kind of AEW used to do like Collision or Rampage after Dynamite. So I'm like, is this the same crowd? So I'm like, I wasn't sure, but it does make sense if it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Corey Graves is the odd man out with Pat McAfee coming back on Monday Night Raw, so they needed a landing spot for him, right? And I like him on NXT. And, I'm a huge Wade Barrett fan. For me, the jury's still out on Joe Tessitore. I like him as an announcer. I think he's extremely talented. I just don't know that I enjoy him on my wrestling, per se. He hasn't done anything wrong. I just don't know that he's the guy that whatever. But he's fine. So Corey Graves provides a little bit more life to that commentary booth. I like it. So the show opened with Julia versus Roxanne Perez for the women's title, kicking off New Year's Evil in an extremely good match. I thought they killed it here. I was not at all surprised. The only thing that I didn't care for, and don't get me wrong, I'm happy she's champion, was that I feel like I knew Julia was going to win. Other than that, the match itself was great. And as I just said, Julia did get the win. And we do have a new NXT Women's World Champion. But no, the match itself was really good. The NXT Women's Division is so good, I don't want Roxanne Perez to go anywhere. At the same time, the main roster is hurting, and it wouldn't surprise me to see her get called up. So we'll just have to see what happens. But you have a new, a new Women's World Champion. Unfortunately, Cora Jade was unable to help Roxanne Perez retain her title. I'm assuming that we're going to get Julia versus Cora Jade next is probably Julia's first defense. That seems like the right thing. So, what do you think of this match? What do you think of what's coming for Julia
So again, I'm
and
with
or
you.
Roxanne
I
Perez?
love Julia. I love that she won. Uh, I'm not gonna like my odds of if she was gonna win or not are probably 370. And then when Cora came out, that little twinge of they're not gonna do it. They're still gonna hold out. But I am very glad she won. Um, this, like you said, this was a great match, and I am glad they waited to put the belt on Julia because yes, main roster, new regime, all that good stuff. But I'm not 100% trustworthy of our NXT stars. So as long as long let them stay on CW as long as possible. No, that's just me.
Yeah. No, and don't get me wrong, like, I thought Obafemi and Trick Williams, the main event, was really solid. I feel like this could have been the main event and given a little more time, and they could have switched those two just because I think Julia and Roxanne Perez are a little more, even though Roxanne's young, a little more, I want to say, established. They feel, well, definitely Julia's a veteran. And
Mm-hmm.
Roxanne feels a little more veteran than both Oba and Trick. So it almost
Mm-hmm.
feels like you would have gotten a better match putting them in the main event and giving them a little more time. The
Mm-hmm.
only complaint, other than the fact that it was predictable, was just that it felt like it could have been a little bit longer for an epic match like they booked it to be. But, that's again nitpicking.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Now I
yeah,
feel you. Like I said, this like it's weird because it's not a takeover or a premium live event, but you are calling it a special New Year's Evil. So yeah, the way those balances of all right, it's not a like you're not you can't go to the Peacock to watch it, but still is special. I think they did. I think they tiered the line of it actually being good. It is arguable that this was committed. It is very much so arguable, but it's still a good show. It was still a good
yeah,
match.
yeah.
Great match.
Uh, Eddie Thorpe is attacked again, but Ava isn't convinced because last time he got attacked, he ended up telling her that he attacked himself. So she's skeptical at best. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I honestly think this time he was probably really attacked, but we'll wait and see. The question is, do I care? And the answer is probably no. So no disrespect to Eddie Thorpe, but I really don't care, honestly. They haven't given him much to make me really care about what he's doing. So if indeed he was attacked by somebody this time, it may be interesting depending on who it is that attacked him and why. They could make it interesting if they care, but if it's him again, then that's really stupid. If he's lying again, so I don't know.
No, like this reminded me of the triple threat of SummerSlam, Triple H, Rock, and uh Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle got hurt early, and it was just like, sorry, but is anyone mad? It's just Triple H versus Rock right now. Nobody? Yeah, let's keep going.
Next, we had video of Ethan Page attacking Javon Evans with the chair and breaking his jaw.
Shame.
And then we see Javon Evans give a promo in which he cannot talk. His mouth is wired shut. What do you think of the wired shut Javon Evans promo?
I didn't hate it, and anything to give Javon more of a character, more of a story, I'm all here for it. So if y'all really want to put this into a program with him versus Ethan Page, let's go. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I think it's great. I think it pins a very solid veteran with a very green rookie. And Ethan
Yes.
Page is the kind of guy that could really teach Javon Evans how to be a really good wrestler. And I,
Why
you
are
know, I
you?
do. I think this fits perfectly. I think this is perfect for Ethan Page's character. I think it's great to make Javon Evans even more of an underdog and give him more of that, like I said, underdog feel to him. So I'm excited for when Javon comes back and puts a beating down on Ethan Page.
Yeah.
It's doing what it's supposed to do. So next we had our number one contender for the for the NXT North American Women's Championship, Stephanie Vicaire versus Kalani Jordan versus Lola Vice versus the aforementioned Cora Jade, who I do think is going to be Julia's first opponent, despite being in the North American title picture. Again, I'm going to say the only complaint that I really had with this was that I felt pretty sure that Julie or Stephanie was going to get the win here. It felt like this show was the one that was going to position these two women basically at the top of the two women's titles, right? Julia was going to
Yeah.
beat Roxanne, and Stephanie is now the number one contender and is going to beat Fallon Henley. I mean, when it boils down to it, I mean, we talk about levels. You want to talk about levels, like here's Stephanie and Fallon's not even on the screen. Like, no disrespect to Fallon Henley, and I know you say that is right when you're about to disrespect somebody. So, but yeah, I mean, there's levels to this, and Fallon Henley doesn't belong even in the same conversation with Stephanie Vicaire. So, I'm assuming we're going to have a new North American Women's Champion, and then the two that everyone's been so excited about will be title holders. In the meantime, this was a very solid match. I thought Lola Vice looked good. Stephanie looked good, very fast paced, lots of fun moves and exciting stuff. Yeah, I enjoyed it overall. I mean,
No.
other than being somewhat predictable, there isn't anything I have bad to say about it.
Right. Trying to think. There were some couple of near falls, like you said. If this wasn't Stephanie, it'd be Riot. Like, even though I said I am happy that they took their time with Stephanie and Julia, it's like, no, the time is now. They can't lose no more. It's like it's time for them to win some stuff. It's time for them to be champions. So I am here all for it. I was very glad and surprised of back to back great women's matches. It's like, oh shoot, all right, let's go. You
Yeah,
said,
I
yeah,
mean, I thought the other three, if that's if the other three, and even Stephanie to a certain extent, I mean, she doesn't belong in the mid card at all. But if the women's North American, if the North American title is a mid card title, other than her, the rest of them are your mid card. They represent that mid card well. I mean, I think this is
yes,
clearly
they
just
do.
a very easy stepping stone for Julia. But at the same time, if your goal is to, and it should always be to have those titles elevated and on a pedestal to a certain extent. Having Stephanie with that belt, beating Fallon, and having Stephanie with that belt raises its profile substantially. I mean, it makes it a main event belt, right? Because she's, for all intensive terms, she's equal to Julia and Roxanne Perez. So, the reality is that
Yeah,
it makes it a main event belt. So we'll have to see what ends up happening and who she ends up having as challengers. Her versus Lola Vice interests me one on one. Her versus Kalani Jordan, I'm not so sure about that. Sol Ruka would be fun.
yeah,
But the Fallon Henleys of the world, the JC Janes, those don't really interest me. Stephanie, I think she
yeah.
stomps all those people easily. So, they do need to do something to give her some solid matches when she becomes North American
Hmm.
Women's Champion.
No, yeah, I agree. And if you have anybody you want to bring up or bring down that
Bring
you're not
down.
so like case in point, I'll say a little bit here. They brought back the spooky witches. I'm like, yes, you're not using them. Bring them back to NXT. You're on national television, so it's not like it's really a downgrade. Yes, bring them back here and let them wrestle. Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, Stephanie
Yeah,
versus
yeah.
Alba Fire. Yes,
Yeah. And also, we'll get there, but another tag team also came back down to NXT, another women's tag team later. So we'll talk about that. But Ava puts the Scary Witches Unholy Union into a number one contenders match for the women's world title next week. Oba comes in
yeah.
and says he's not worried about Eddie Thorpe, who is still technically in the match. Ava says Eddie's going to wrestle because I don't believe him. You see Triple H and Nick Khan are here in the crowd. Yay.
Still Los Angeles. Still Los Angeles.
Get a little.
So,
We got a video package from OTM who are ready for their tag team title match. I thought this was a
yeah.
solid promo. I really like these guys. I mean,
Yeah.
at one point they had three teams: a No Fame Blade, OTM, and Tyson and Tyreek or TNT that I thought were all kind of the same. And we're kind of
Yeah.
looking to see who was going to get the ultimate nod. It seems like it's gone to OTM. Originally, I kind of liked TNT a little bit more, but these guys are growing on me a lot. I like these guys. I thought this promo was
Yeah.
solid. I enjoyed it, and I think I like them. So especially when you include whatchamacallit with them, Jakara Jackson.
Yes.
The whole thing works. So No, I thought this promo was solid for them.
No, totally agree. Yes.
Next, we had Fatal Influence, JC
Like,
Jane, Jasmine Nix, and Fallon Henley versus the returning Shotzi Blackheart, who returned last week to NXT
yeah,
and is teaming up with Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley in what was, an okay match. I mean, I thought it wasn't bad for what it was.
right.
The Team Shotzi, for I don't know what to call them, they've got to come up with a name if they're going to stay together
You're
as a little
right. Yeah.
faction.
We'll
Which
find
I'm here
something.
for
It's
that.
fine.
Which I'm here for that because Shotzi hasn't gotten any. I don't know if she was injured or not, but if she wasn't, she hasn't gotten any time on either SmackDown or Raw. So put her on NXT and
Like,
at least give her something.
I want to say, yes, she was on SmackDown. She was doing something with Charlotte. I want to say she was in the War Games of 2023, and then she got hurt. So, but yeah, like you said, bring her back down here. Her versus Stephanie. Let's go.
Yeah. So they get the win. Shotzi, Paxton, and Dolan. I'm assuming this isn't the end of this feud. We'll have to see. Let's see. Shotzi. I would love to see Shotzi in a program maybe with Stephanie. I mean, if we're talking about people that could potentially give Stephanie a
Yes, I
main
just said
event type
yes.
match, Shotzi's one of those people that I think could do that. So I wouldn't mind seeing Shotzi versus Stephanie. That would be cool.
Definitely. And then, like, you
Let's
just
see.
brought her back, give her a win. Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Ava is yelling at Ethan Page for injuring Javon Evans, and here comes the Boulder. The Boulder's here to defend the Pebble. Basically, look scary and
That's
tell
your
Ethan
baby.
Page to back off, essentially. Anything you want to say about that?
That's your baby. Like, I am all here for familyness on television. So yes, I was like, yeah, you look at your baby. So we know this was a Neptune hire when Ava became general manager. But she knocked it out of the park, though. She's doing a great job. I know she's definitely like still in her 20s. So to give her this authoritative role was so good, and she did like I really like she really grown as a basically on the mic and as a general manager. She did a great job. So this was so good. She was so like The Rock was just like, hey, if you want to be cool with me, you gotta be cool with her. Like, get your behind out of here. Let's go. Like, you give me any advice? I don't know what I'm gonna say. He's like, hey, it's NXT crowd that I wish I was like I wish they would acknowledge it. Like, come on, you look just like him. Like, I wish you would acknowledge it. You're like, you're gonna feel it. It's like, all right, I'll feel it. Let's go. It's all like, yeah, I'm all about family. I love you. Like, look at your daughter. You did a good job. No, you little pebble. Okay.
So next we get the Heritage Cup. Lexis King versus the defending Heritage Cup champion, Charlie Dempsey, in a twist on the Heritage Cup because this was a sudden death match, which essentially just makes it a single one fall match with no breaks and no rounds. When they announced that, and I don't remember them announcing it the week before when they set the match up or when they set it up, but when they announced it here, I was thinking to myself, well, of course they did. Everything they could do to help it benefit Lexis King, right? Not that it really matters, but like it does. I mean, you can still do whatever you want to do, but I mean, Charlie Dempsey is the Heritage Cup champion, which is a specific type of match, and now you switch it up because you want to put the title on Lexis King. So
it was disqualification of the first Heritage Cup. So yes.
So, needless to say, Lexis King and Charlie Dempsey for the Heritage Cup. Lexis King gets the win and is your new Heritage Cup champion, which, being that you've been trying to push Lexis King and get him some sort of character, I think putting the belt on him probably helped, or not the belt, but giving him this cup somewhat helps him to a certain extent. So I'm here for that. I thought the match itself was, hey, that's really weird. All right, I don't know why it's all white, but
So your camera's off. I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah, no, I know. I turned it off for a second, but I don't know why it's all white.
All right, cool, no worries.
let's see. What do you think about this? I mean, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was great, but Lexus King got the win, and clearly they're giving him a push here. What do you think about it? I do think it's interesting. I wonder if they're working towards Steven Regal coming out with Charlie Dempsey at some point more because Dempsey's now had a
Yeah,
couple mistakes and issues, and there seems to be a little like whatever.
yeah. So with this, so this match was fine. This match was perfectly fine. Nothing great, but nothing sucky about it, right? So, and I do, like I said, we keep talking about Lexus King's progression. I love that they're getting away from this toxic rock and roll self, which you call it, more so Brian like when he first came to NXT, like they're trying to rip off Brian Kendrick in my eyes. We're just like I'm American, like it felt like that. Like now we're getting more towards who Lexus King, Brian Campbell Jr. is more towards as a person. So I do love that. So I do love the progression of Lexus King. Like I said, a decent match. I think we have to ask William Regal if he wants to come out. Cause at this point in time, you he left AEW, had to wait a year to go on television. He gets on television, he gives his thing to what you call it. He gives his role of essentially the Ava, like, hey, she's general manager, let me more. So I'm not sure they're trying to figure out what his role is in NXT, or if he just, he's like, I don't want to be on television anymore. I just want to train backstage. So I really would like to have an interview with him with like, what do you want to do now? Do you want to be on TV anymore? Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hope, I think that if you ultimately want to develop Charlie Dempsey, I think bringing in Steven Regal and having him in his corner does a lot for that. At the same time, it's up to Regal and what he wants to do. My feeling is that, but even by going by Charlie Dempsey and everything they did to kind of make us not know or maybe keep us in the dark about knowing who he really was, that maybe that the goal is for him to stand on his own. Although if that's the goal, then why even mention it now? I guess maybe because he's having a
Yeah.
hard time getting over than they thought, maybe because he's not whatever. So maybe now they've decided, oh
Charismatic
well, if we
as
can
your daddy.
now if we can associate him with them, it brings a little more credibility to him, or
Yeah.
people to liking Charlie. So everyone loves Regal, so whoever corner he's in, they're gonna love.
Yeah.
So
And
but
then more so, the whole thing about like being a second generation star is very much so hard. We're just like, okay, do we acknowledge that this is your daddy, or do we just let you be on your own and see how you fare? We've seen both instances, and like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So it really the tricky thing about how do we get this person who had a huge personality of a dad over without being
agreed.
like without we call it being better than your daddy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no, I mean, there are certain things that, you know, Cody Rhodes, even Dustin to a certain extent, but Cody especially is always going to be compared to his dad, right? I mean, it
mm-hmm.
just is what it is.
Yeah,
The Dominic Mysterios are always going to be compared to the Rey Mysterios. It just is what it is, and unfortunately, and not to say that those guys aren't going to reach those potential expectations or those heights. At the same time, when you've had a superstar, i.e., The Rock and Ava, I
yeah,
mean, it's I mean, those are big shoes to try to fill. So
right.
I can understand why, to a certain extent, from a WWE perspective, you might not want to just throw them out there with their parents and their parents' name and all that stuff. And from the kid's perspective, I can understand wanting to make your own way. So
And, yeah, and essentially not even like overshadowing your parents, but just like having giving you enough to it's like I can have my own career. It
exactly,
was just like
yeah,
it's like okay, hold like they're not comparing me anymore. I can actually make money and be okay.
yeah, yeah. So Shotzi says she's pinned Fallon Henley and deserves a shot at Stephanie Vicaire, who's already the number one contender. But Ava says, okay, you want your shot? You and Stephanie next week for that number one contendership. So, you know, I don't necessarily have a problem with this because I like the idea of Shotzi being involved. At the same time, you just had Stephanie beat three other women for the number one contender. Now she has to beat a
Yeah,
fourth woman next week. Like, I get it. She's going to. And, she didn't, it's, the three women that she beat are questionably, not questionably, not on her level. So it is what it is, and Shotzi's probably a little closer to her level. So, I guess this is a little bit more of a challenge, but I don't really like it when you name a number one contender and then all of a sudden they have to beat somebody else to retain their number one contendership. That's a little odd to me. But
Yeah.
that said,
No,
Stephanie and Shotzi
I,
should be good next week.
so like it's one of the things where it's just like we were gonna be champion, but we're trying to prolong it just a little bit more.
Make it maybe a little less predictable, right?
It's like give us one more month, and then like maybe another thing was like, even though this is just like it's not the World NXT Women's Championship, it is a championship match. So it's like, do we give this free on paper? Do we give this free on CW, or do we wait for a takeover to come and do the match? So I get both sides a little bit.
All right, so that brings us to the NXT New Year's Evil main event. NXT Men's World Championship title match, triple threat, Trick Williams versus, or defending champion Trick Williams versus
Yeah.
challenger Oba Femi and Eddie Thorpe. We saw earlier that Eddie Thorpe had been attacked, so we're not sure, but Ava said she didn't buy it and the Eddie is still in the match. Needless to say, you get Oba and Trick starting, no sign of Eddie to begin with, and they have a little bit of a match. Oba hits Trick with a big power bomb, and as he's about to get a 3 count, here comes Eddie Thorpe to drag the referee out of the ring and break it up and interject himself in the match. But it ultimately doesn't really matter, as Oba Femi gets rid of Thorpe ultimately. I forget exactly what he does, but he got rid of Thorpe ultimately and ends up hitting Trick Williams with the fall from grace and gets the pin. And Oba Femi is your new WWE, well, NXT, WWE NXT Men's World Champion, which makes me extremely happy. I like Trick Williams, but I'm a huge Oba Femi fan. So I thought this was great. And, I had already assumed that after he lost the North American title, the next natural progression was the world title. And so I'm glad they didn't make him wait too long. And it's one of those things where, normally I don't necessarily like the really, really big guys because I feel like if this is supposed to be somewhat of a legitimate sport or competition fight type thing, a guy like Oba Femi is going to win most often because there's not a lot of guys that have his strength and stature and can challenge that. So I feel like, it's hard to see him losing. And once you put the belts on him, I'm not sure how you get it off of him. At the same time, he did, he didn't look terrible in his loss to Tony D for the North American Men's Championship. So you can definitely have him lose. But here I thought this was awesome. I enjoyed this. I kind of thought the match could have gotten a few more minutes. It was just a little over 10. But that being said, thought it was fine. And this was a nice, overall, this was a very good New Year's Evil. The two big title changes, Julia winning, Oba Femi winning, Stephanie, the number one contender. I thought everything was very, very solid. And I thought this match was a great main event for the show. So again, I always have to remind myself that even though some of these guys like an Eddie Thorpe are probably a little bit beyond maybe the development point, Trick and Oba really are still developing. And so things aren't always going to be 100% perfect, and you got to take it with a grain of salt to a certain extent. And that helps, I do think that it does make me bump them up a little bit periodically grade wise because I know that they're and it's still so amazing. Like Raw should be fucking good. You guys are seasoned veterans. Like AEW should be good. You have the best fucking wrestlers on the planet. Like NXT most times doesn't have any business being as good as it has been. And this is another one of those situations where now to be fair, Julia's a superstar, so that's a little bit what it is. But a lot of times there's NXT. Recently, these NXT stars have been performing above their heads or exceeding my expectations. Let's put it that way. And I thought this was a very solid match. I'm ecstatic to see Oba Femi ultimately on the main roster at some point. So, what do you think of this main event and the show overall?
Yeah, no. This match was very, very good, and I love the use of Ethan. What call? No, was it
Eddie
Thorpe?
Thorpe.
What's his name? Eddie
Yeah.
Thorpe, like Ethan
Yeah.
Thorpe. No, Eddie Thorpe, because essentially with him, like, so him being out of the match for like the literally almost until the end, like, okay, we're getting Trick versus Oba. We all wanted that in the first place. So and then when he comes in, it gives that little leeway of like, so it's like the ending is Trick does his trick shot to Eddie while he's holding the chair and hits him in the chair, but then that's when Oba
That's
does the
right.
power bomb, just 1, 2, 3. So
That's right.
either way, there's a what you call it? There's a reasoning of getting Oba versus Trick actually by themselves. So a good rematch, and then we get, if you want to, Oba versus Eddie if you want to. So like we are, so more so we have planned matches in the future, which I do
Yeah.
love. So I love how all this came about. A solid match. For the whole thing, like you said, this is NXT. They have great stars, but it's still like you have no business being this good. Like, like this, like you said, this was so good, and theoretically, like compare. This is when a circle compare. We got to compare to Raw. This, I wish you would have one more match on Raw like this. Like cut either Triple H or Rock's time in half and let someone else go out. Like do a clusterfuck. No offense, of great wrestlers and a fatal 4-way of some kind. So like, yeah, I love. And then like you said, not sure how long we took on this show to discuss NXT, but it went by fast because it was so good. We're just like,
Yeah.
oh shoot, we're at the end. All right, bet. But yeah, I love Alba new champion. I love Julia's new champion.
Yeah.
This year should be a very, very tasty, what you call it, a season for NXT. This is gonna be really, really fun.
I agree. I agree. I agree. No, I gave this an A.
Yes,
I'm
definitely an
trying to
A.
think.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I was. Go ahead.
So we forgot this part because it got cut because, oh boy, The Rock comes out to do a
Oh
promo.
yeah.
He did a promo, right? And I'm not sure who told him or if he was online, but he addressed the whole. When I first got here last year, you're like, you're being you're being mean to Cody, and now yesterday, why are you being nice to Cody? He's like, the boss is taking a twist of a head, so know your role, shut your mouth, and enjoy the ride. So basically, we haven't fully, like, so that tells me that you heard the rhetoric. You're like, we didn't drop it, but we're definitely not doing it this WrestleMania. Yeah, people who love hate this is what I'm gonna tell. This is what I'm saying to ease your to ease. And then, like, I don't think he realized that this is not Raw. There is no overdraft, so that thing got cut. Watch the whole speech, but the thing got cut. Like, sir, this is CW. There is no overlap. They're not going to overlap. I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure what comes on after NXT. They're like, the 9 o'clock hits. We get to go to the next show. So that was hilarious. That was definitely hilarious. But
I'll be
overall,
honest with you. After the
what?
match, and I knew that The Rock was the final thing, I turned it off. I didn't even watch him. So I didn't stay to watch him talk.
Like, literally, like, they told him 6 minutes. You can tell he didn't prepare his speech. It got cut off. If you want to watch the whole thing, you got to on YouTube. That was hilarious. Solid A for NXT. Solid A.
All right. So our last and final show to review is Dynamite for this week, and Nico will lead the discussion on this one.
All right. AEW Dynamite from January 8th, 2025. I'm looking down. Okay, there you go.
I cannot believe it's
um,
2025 already.
right? It's gonna take another week to get used to saying that. But
I'm
I'm
so
I'm
old. I'm so old that there was a point where 2025 felt like so far in the future. Like you'd have flying cars and all sorts of shit.
no, literally, I work in a movie theater, right? They show Back to the Future the day of the Back to the Future. They're like in the movie. I want to say they said October something 2024. That's when Mark McFly. They're like, well, you want to watch it, and I think like beginning of 2024, someone said it like the prediction of what was going to happen. Like, okay, flying skateboards. We do have hoverboards. They don't fly, but they do rotate. The Cubs didn't win. The Cubs didn't win. So that actually did happen. Like it was hilarious.
That's funny.
But yeah. Okay.
All
So
right.
starting AEW Dynamite. Some people said this should have been the show last week because talking about Netflix last week. Dynamite officially did their whole. We're on Max and TBS. It wasn't a bad show, but I will say you should have had either MJF live, Omega live, or Ospreay live. I know why Omega couldn't be there because he was in Japan, but you should like one of those three people should have been live in the building. I digress though. We start off with my baby. Ospreay. In his green, in his beautiful glory. I loved all of this. I loved how they set up the story. So he's going against Buddy Matthews. Buddy Matthews trying to avenge his brother in arms, Brody King, because Ospreay beat Brody King in the C2? Yes, C2. So he's like, all right, I got you, brother. I'm gonna beat his behind for you. This was a very tasty match. This is very like I don't know why they haven't given Buddy enough singles matches. If you're like, oh, well, House of Black. No, because you gave Brody King a bunch of singles matches. So I'm not sure why you don't give Buddy Matthews a bunch. Because as you can see, he's gonna tear it up. And he's in there with one of the best in the world, probably the best wrestler in the world. So I loved all of this. Love the counters. Like it felt like sometimes a great wrestler has to slow down to match someone else's pace. Ospreay didn't slow down. It was both. It was bull. It was bull. Whatever Max says, go too fast. You go fast. There you go. Off to the races. It was off to the races, and they did not stop. One of my favorite spots was they were on the ring apron, and Ospreay tried to do something, and Matthews just shoved him into the announce table. Like it wasn't like, oh, I did a move and you failed. No, he just like, get off me. He just shoved him off the freaking announce table. I love that. But all in all, it's Ospreay. So Ospreay gets the 1, 2, 3. And then more interesting or not, after that, Ospreay gets on the mic. He's like, look, buddy, you are a great wrestler. And you don't need to be following some cult leader. You or Brody. So if you ever want to go for the singles goal and you want something behind your corner, I got you. And Buddy shakes Ospreay's hand. Now, I'm not that into contract negotiations or whatever. They say that Malachi Black contract is up or he's leaving. I know they've been saying that so many times, but it feels like it's now a little bit more official. Even though, in my mind, right, House of Black is still House of Black. So, like, I was kind of perturbed at this. I'm like, don't shake his hand. I literally was like, if you don't hit him in the back of the head, that was like, to me, I'm like, that's so freaking insulting. I don't need you to be in my back supporting, like I'm some freaking rookie kid. Oh, I need your support to get some goal. I'm like, it was all of that was so. I'm gonna say weird, a little weird. Because again, I didn't know that Malachi was leaving. But even if Malachi is leaving, I feel like Brody and Buddy can still be a team together. And if you put Julia in there, yes, that trio still works, especially with Brody King, because Brody King is made. But like I said, all in all, a great way to open Dynamite. Your thoughts?
Very solid match. At first, when they were leading into the match and the little like preamble, I thought we were getting Ospreay versus Brody again, and then it was Ospreay versus Matthews, which is fine. I love Buddy. I think Buddy is one of the most underrated wrestlers probably on the planet. I mean, for me personally, I don't understand the disconnect. When I see him in the
Right?
ring or when I see him give a promo, for me, he's equally as as good as some of the best people out there. So, and I think that when you see him wrestle guys like a Will Ospreay, and you see how he holds his own, and more than holds his own, I think he deserves to be getting more singles matches like that. I don't have a problem with him giving Brody King singles matches either. I just think Buddy deserves more. So this
Right.
match was amazing. If Malachi, first of all, in concept, I like House of Black, and even sometimes practically when they're on my TV screen, I like them. And I know that they were trio champions twice, at least once, I think maybe twice. And but that being said, I still feel like they were never really booked the way I wanted them booked per se. They were never really
Yes.
given that like premier booking where like they were the top faction ever,
Yes.
and as a result, it feels like I want more for all of them, and
Yes.
especially Brody King and Buddy Matthews. So if if either if Malachi goes away and Buddy and Will and Brody form some sort of something, I'm not opposed to that. If Will puts together, if Osprey puts together
Nope.
a new united empire of some sort or a faction kind of like that, and has those two guys and maybe even potentially a Julia Hart, who I'm less I care less for than Brody or Buddy, but even Julia, I'm not necessarily opposed to that. Most factions need a woman, so I'm not opposed to that. Oh, it looks like I lost. Oh, here we go. She was gone, but she's back. All right. So yeah, I mean, extremely solid match. Loved all of it. Buddy's great. Will's great. The hidden blade is an awesome move. It always looks cool, especially the way Will does it. And yeah, I thought this match started basically in second gear and ended in fourth gear where it should. So I thought this was 100% great.
Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. I got the mic on. Now let's do this. All right. So even though they did a terrible job hyping this up, uh, they're showing Wrestle. It's called Wrestle Dynasty in Tokyo, right? This weekend, yeah. So they show
Kingdom
all
first
the
and then Dynasty. It was back to back. I think it was back to back nights, maybe, or back to back weekends. I'm not sure.
there's a back weekends, back to back nights. They showed all. Oh shoot! They showed all the highlights, and like the Young Bucks won the freaking tag championships. What does that mean for AEW? Are y'all gonna be in Japan for a little bit? Well, tell me something. And then Claudio was in there. It's like Claudio going Claudio. It's gonna be a good match. It's gonna beat somebody up. Mercedes Monet's match was great. Like if y'all gotta bring some old Japanese women over here to make her have a better reign, do that. Do that. And then of course Omega versus Gabe Kidd. If you want to watch a great match, that was a great match. And Gabe Kidd, he's my new boo. Yes, I love
I
him
say
too.
this all the time. I say when was the last time Will Ospreay had a bad match, and I'm going to say this too. I can't remember honestly the last time I saw a Kenny Omega match and wasn't just like, yeah, that's amazing. I mean,
Right?
the dude just doesn't have bad matches. Everything he does in the ring is amazing. And Gabe Kidd's getting there. I mean, Gabe
He
Kidd is
is.
amazing. So
Yeah, no. So not sure when Gabe's Kid kind of could up or how that's gonna fare. But if you want to bring him to AEW and give him, okay. Side note: AEW, AWE are theoretically on cable and Netflix. So I'm not sure why we muting people's mics and stuff, and we're worried about what people gonna say. It's like you're on cable. For God's sake, why the cable department like you get a little more TV 13? So why are you trying to PG a cable television show? I
yeah,
digress.
I was a little surprised, and I thought the most risque thing that WWE did on Netflix for their debut was having Travis Scott with the blunt. Other than that, I didn't think there
Right.
was anything that was like, oh, we're on cable now. That being which surprised me because they there was a time where WWE and they have in the past loved to press the envelope and do everything they possibly could on regular TV. So it seems odd that you didn't do anything to to be a little more since you're on cable or since you're off the cable and on
Yeah.
streaming. Like,
Like I'm not saying go back to having mud wrestling matches with females, but like let the people be truly their authentic self. And for Gabe Kidd,
HLA, HLA, HLA.
but more so for Gabe Kidd, his personality and him wrestling, he's worth loosening the reins a little bit. Give him a little bit more wiggle room to be himself. He's gonna be entertaining on television. All right. And so next up, Private Party coming in with a little bit of an on stage party. Shots. What we want? If you forgot, they are your tag team champions. So they come out. I want to say Collision. They did face Leo Rush and Action Andretti. They got the win. So yeah, let's have a little celebration for another win of our championship reign. Then crazy enough, we heard people. We heard people. The Hurt Syndicate comes out to join the fun. And it's like, oh, okay, hold up. MVP is just great on the mic. He's like, no, don't worry. I'm not trying to spoil your fun. MVP, I know about the whole MVP spot. So let's go. Let's have a little drink. Let's toast to it, right? So like they're being all buddy. He asks Bobby Lashley, you want to make a toast? He's like, yeah, I want to make a toast. Let's toast to the new tag team champions, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. It's like, and then the shock face on Private Party. It was like, wait, hold up, what? Now, this is one of the things that I hate about AEW, more so TK. It's about the gatekeeping. When I say gatekeeping, it's like certain people aren't allowed to lose, even if you're champions. And so with so with Private Party, it feels like, yeah, you let them beat the New Bucks for the title, but you didn't let them beat anyone big during the reign. And correct me if I'm wrong, they weren't even on. What's the last one? World's End? They weren't even on. They didn't have a match on World's End. So it really is like, if you're going to give them the belt, you have to treat them accordingly. So like at least have a match on the freaking at least have like a decent program. At least have a match on the pay-per-view. You love like the one time you don't want to stock up your freaking your wrestling card and you want to leave out the freaking tag team champion. So even though I love Lashley and Shelton, and I do believe they do deserve gold, and evidently we're not going to do Lashley for the Swerve because we're doing Swerve versus Ricochet. They do deserve a good program, but I do feel bad if what they're going to do, and it looks like they're going to do it, get the belt off of Private Party and put it on the Hurt Syndicate. Thoughts on this little segment?
No, I mean I agree. I mean I'll be honest with you. Like I like Private Party, but
Yeah.
and again, every time you say no offense, you're about to say something offensive. But
To somebody.
I always talk
Just
about
to somebody.
I always talk about levels, and again, Private Party doesn't necessarily feel like they've been on the level of some of the other AEW World Champions, tag team champions. I don't know that they're on the level of the Young Bucks or FTR or. So I mean, in that regard, like putting the belts on them is great. I think they deserve an opportunity to see what they can do with them. At the same time, I don't feel like they booked them very well with the belts, and I don't know if that's just a symptom of Tony not being 100% confident in them as champions. I don't know what it is. As we know, Tony's limited anyhow. He has his issues booking in general. It could just be a Tony issue, but whatever the case may be, yeah. I mean, the thing is that since MVP's come along, the Hurt Syndicate has been a big deal, and they're definitely pushing that. So more than they've ever pushed Private Party, even by putting the title belts on them, more than they've ever pushed Private Party. So in that regard, yeah, it doesn't surprise me if they're going to take the belts off of them and put them on the Hurt business in some way, ultimately. That being said, I don't know what that means for like Bobby long term. I mean, right now there's only the three of them, right? So if I'm not mistaken, there's only MVP, Bobby, and Shelton. So it's got to be Shelton and Bobby to take the titles from Private Party. And then what does that mean for Bobby? I mean, to be fair, I think Bobby I have my issues with Bobby Lashley, but he deserves to be in the title picture. So I'm not sure what that does for him. I mean, I guess if they're tag team champions, it's something.
Yeah.
But he's already, long in the tooth. He's not a spring chicken either, So
Right.
if
Right.
the
Yeah.
goal is to get him, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's in really great shape and he's taking care of his body and all those kind of things. But
Yeah.
he's not a young man. So I mean, if you want him to ultimately be AEW Men's World Champion at some point, which
Hmm.
it feels like that's what you're pushing him towards,
Yeah.
probably sooner than later would be the issue.
Yeah.
And you don't want to necessarily get him too bogged down in the tag team situation. But if they bring in another guy, if somebody actually joins the Hurt Syndicate and you can have Shelton and another guy as
Yeah.
tag team champions, then that makes perfect sense to me. That being said, I feel bad for Private Party, but it is what it is. For me, I feel like Private Party's perfect Ring of Honor
Mm,
material, and
yeah.
I know that sounds terrible. I don't mean to sound bad about Private Party. I don't know. There's just something about them that I don't know. I'm not sure that they're. I don't know. It could
Yeah.
just be booking. I mean, maybe it's literally just the booking. I don't know, but for whatever reason, it feels like they're just not quite. They're not over enough on the main roster. Let's
Mm.
put it that way, to continue to do, to get opportunities. So
Like more so like you said, how do you get someone over and give them a chance? So it's like if you're going to put the belts on them, you have to give them a chance. You have to let them beat somebody big, not somebody who's a scrub, but they are up and coming, but someone who's actually established. There you go. That's the word.
yeah,
All right.
agreed.
All right. So after Bobby makes a toast, he goes down because he has a match against Mark Briscoe. I have mixed feelings about this match because it was mostly dominated by Bobby Lashley, and he has muscles, so it should be dominated by Bobby Lashley. And then, so basically, like I said, it was pure dominance, and then he gets Mark Briscoe off outside the ring. Mark Briscoe goes underneath the ring. Bobby Lashley is following him, and Mark Briscoe is not stupid. He's like, you know what? This isn't going my way. I'm gonna cheer. I'm gonna him and stomach with this chair, and then he uses the chair. He backflips over the ring to get the upper hand. It's like it's like I do love that. Where it's like, hey, I'm trying to win, and this big sucker is dominating me. We're just gonna use the chair a little bit. We're just gonna do like this will help him lose weight. But it was not enough. And so Bobby Lashley does the hurt lock. Uh, Mark Briscoe taps. Bobby wins, and then here comes MVP and Shelton Benjamin. No, side note, I love MVP on commentary. He is MVP is doing the great work right now. We're just like, so when Mark Briscoe comes in the chair, that's illegal. He's disqualified. Why did he stand up match? What's going on? It's like, well, no one saw him get hit with a chair, and when he flipped over, he used the chair to flip himself over. He didn't hit. The ref didn't see him get hit with a chair, so that's why the match is still going. But yeah, so they try to beat up Mark Briscoe. Here comes Party with some chairs. Bobby and Shelton was like, whatever, but MVP was like, not right now. So like, literally, not right now is at the time. And so they stand in the ring with Mark Briscoe. Like I said, so when Bobby Lashley and her syndicate did their first little in-ring promo, right? It was Mark Briscoe to come out for his match, and he sized up Bobby and left. I was so hyped for that, right? I did not want Mark Briscoe to be dominated in this match. That's just me. Now, realistically, should it go that way? Probably. But for me, it was just like, no, I want Mark Briscoe to have, not going to say 50-50, but 60-40. This was literally like, this is 85, 15. So that part kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But Bobby Lashley just got here. He shouldn't be losing. I didn't say lose, but I'm just like making it a little more competitive. But that's just me. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I tend to agree. I mean, I think that this match shows the way both men are really seen by Tony Khan or who's ever doing the booking backstage, which is that Bobby Lashley is really the new big shiny thing, and he's the next superstar. I don't know that it started this way. Maybe it did, but it definitely seems like Tony Khan has this desire to take people that WWE maybe didn't get over as well and then show what he can do with them beyond what WWE can do. And
Yeah.
I think, I mean, to be fair, Bobby Lashley was champion, what, 3 times? So, I mean, he was over in WWE too, but I don't know what more you could really do with him. But at the same time, it feels like that's where they're really pushing. And I think that you see that by the fact that it was 85-15 or 90-10 even, that he sees Mark Briscoe really as more like a mid-card guy probably, which is unfortunate, and or a Ring of Honor guy. I mean, maybe top of the pile Ring of Honor, mid-card AEW, or pseudo main event on a Collision, but not world championship material, not beating Bobby Lashley, who you're definitely lining up to be a world champion in the near future. So that being said, I'm disappointed in that because I've come to like Mark Briscoe a lot.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not necessarily the biggest Bobby Lashley fan. So, me personally, between these two, I'd rather see Mark Briscoe getting the rub. But it is what it is, and you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
Mark Briscoe probably shouldn't be beating Bobby Lashley. I mean, when we talk about
Yeah.
those kind of things, at the same time, he carries kind of this ultimate underdog chip to him too on his shoulders. So like him getting a win over Bobby Lashley wouldn't be the most bizarre thing either, because it's the heart of the dog in the fight, not the size of the dog in the fight, right? So,
Yeah.
so in that regard, he always has a chance. But yeah, no, I mean, when this match started, I assumed it was going to be Bobby Lashley, and I assumed it was going to be a Hurt Lock, and it was, so you get what you get, right?
Right. All right, so fast forwarding, we have a Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal. So, no, Casino Gauntlet. That's what it's called.
Yeah, Casino
Very
Gauntlet.
respectful. Casino Gauntlet. Now, this is a very special match for AEW. Like, this could be something where you can actually do a whole pay-per-view over this match. That's just me. So, I feel like they're doing it too much. Now, on the flip side of it is, I think TK is doing this because it is Royal Rumble season. So it's like, oh, we have our own little Royal Rumble match over here, and I do love that. But you can't keep doing it every not even 3 months. It's like you're doing it every 2 months. Like, you have to make this special. And so after this, don't do this no more. At least for 6 months. Stop.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. You don't
Like,
want
come
to
on.
wear something out.
Make this special before people are like, oh, another one? Yeah.
Yep.
But I get it. It makes the opponent very easy, but this is a special match, all right? All right. So we start off with the one who earned his number 1 spot, Jay White. Number 2 comes out. It's Hangman Adam Page. This is a great way to start it. I love that they started this match because they're both, these are the top 2 people right here. And honestly, I can't wait until they face John Moxley by themselves. We'll talk about it more, but yes, I want those 2 solo matches. All right. And so they're scruffing it off. Good. I'm gonna try to do this in order, but let's call a spade a spade. I'm probably not. I'm gonna I want to say next up was Wheeler Yuta coming from the audience. He gets great boos, but as soon as he hits the ring, Blade Runner, it's like, hold up, wait, and it's like, Hangman stopped it, boo. So I love that part. And then next comes up the music of whose house? Swerve's house. But it's not Swerve. It's Pretty Ricky. It's Ricochet. It's like, so you're just healing up. Side note, right? So last week, Ricochet went butt crack crazy with the scissors against Swerve. And that took me more by surprise. I'm like, why do you go up cray-cray? What's wrong with you? And it's like, well, he was bullying him. They were just jaw jacking. If you're gonna scissor somebody in the head, it should be hurting the kid. There's one who hemmed you up a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Now, we didn't watch this part, but at World's End, when Ricochet lost against which one? Was it Okada or Ospreay?
Ospreay, right? Yeah.
Okay. Well, so when he lost, Swerve came out and he was like, hey, Trevor, sorry about that, but you know what? We're going to make it happy for you. So everybody on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, Happy New Year, and they threw toilet paper at him. And so I saw that come like, oh, that's why you got this. Understandable. I get it now. Okay, understandable. So we got heel Ricochet, and it's working for him. This is the jolt of energy that we needed for Ricochet in AEW. Like a little bit of newness, and now everything is clicking into place more. All right. So the match goes. He goes against Hangman, and like they're good together. But you know, it's still you know it's Hangman. But then him and Yuta are healing it up. It's like Yuta is getting a whole lot of freaking heat in this match, and good on him, right? He wants people to get over, so good for you. Next match, next opponent. You know it's all about the boo. Adam Cole, baby. Now look, Hill and MJF was a dud. But the good. Now this is the great thing about AEW. If you're not over, you can get over in the ring. So Adam Cole goes to the ring and he's coming kicking everybody. And then of course Ricochet gets up to the top rope. Bow. But Shelton Benjamin, HBKS, just like you just got shot. And I love it. So last week, I want to say it was Adam Cole and friends rescuing Swerve really late after he got bludgeoned to death with scissors. If you give me Adam Cole versus Ricochet, I want that. Like I said, no, if he's not over, it's fine. He can get over in the ring, and him versus Ricochet will be a very good match. All right, this opponent is Daniel Garcia. All right, cool. Give him some more airtime. He's your TNT champion. Let's freaking go. Nice little bout, nice little counter actions. You know, he's a grappler. He's more confident with himself, so he did great in the ring. Next up, we get Powerhouse. I'm like, yes! Give him some shine. This is my baby, Team Taz. I still love all these suckers. Let's go. So he comes in and he's hopping it up. Just being a powerhouse, just flip it, just tossing everybody all over the place. It was a nice, quick little, we call it face to face with Pretty Ricky. If you want to give me that, I'm all for it. But of course, you know, numbers game. He gets off the ring. Next up, we have Roddy Strong. So officially, we're gonna say Speed the Kingdom are together. Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly. So he gets in there. He helps Adam Cole. You know, and Roderick is just a ring general, honestly, and he's just doing his thing, kneeing people in the face and doing a great job. Him and Adam Cole trying to team up against each other, but you know, again, numbers count. Next up, we have Lance Archer. Everybody dies. I love it. Lance Archer is one of the first babies I loved when AEW, like year 2 of AEW. I want more for him. It don't look like it's going to happen, but whatever. But he comes in, he's talking it up where he's just throwing people, and then you get him versus Will Hobbs, face to face. Meet Chance, me, because no matter what, these two are just let them face off. It's going to be magic. So I love that part. Next up, we have Kyle O'Reilly coming out. All right, we complete the Undisputed Kingdom trifecta. He comes in. Yuta tries to meet him at the ramp. He just knees the crap out of him and gobbles his behind. Cool. He goes into the ring. He's trying to face off. Him and Roderick are doing little tag teams. I'm like, yes. Let's give me more of this. I'm not sure how, like, I feel bad for him and Adam Cole because it feels like y'all missed the boat on them being a team of being, recapturing Undisputed Era. But all three are still great in the ring. So I'm not sure how to get them over, but I hope we figure it out because in the ring, they're great. So Adam Cole, So Cal and Roger are doing tag team. Adam Cole comes in and they're triple threatening it up, and then they try to, they're going to go up against Hobbs. They're trying to work at it, and so but Hobbs is Hobbs, and then Dave Garcia tries to help him, but it's like he's a big boy. So what you call it? what's the word? Reason enough is like he's still being Hobbs. And I love that. All right. So next one is Jeff Jarrett. He said that he was going to be in here and he wants to go for the World Championship. So he comes out and he'll hit him in the back of the head. And he actually fights for Jeff Jarrett and sends him back into the tunnel. I love it and I hate it. And so it's like, oh, like, come on. But he's like, no, not you. You outright said you want to go against Moxley. I got to take you out. I love it and I hate it. And so there it is. So Gauntlet's still going. Gauntlet got the 1, 2, 3. And then officially we have Hobbs doing a power slam to here. I am watching it again. Cal O'Reilly, 1, 2, 3. Will Hobbs wins a casino battle gauntlet. So I'm surprised. I'm not hating it. My heart wants Jay White. So I'm like, I'm not sure why we're holding off on that. But if you have a plan, hopefully it goes well. But I'm not mad at Hobbs winning, and especially the matches next week. All right, cool. But here comes Renee Paquette. He's like, how do you feel right now, Hobbs? Hobbs like, let's shoot for a minute. Short and sweet. I love it. He was like, it was John Moxley who brought me into the company. But next week, I'm going to make John Moxley my bitch. And then he started like, look. I get that Renee is not Moxley's wife in these scenarios. She's an interviewer. But can we have a little respect for Renee? Can y'all please just y'all know this is her husband? Can we please let someone else interview you and you call her husband's name? Like, come on, man, come on. But great casino battle gauntlet. I'm not mad at Hobbs winning. Your thoughts on all of this?
I thought the match was really solid. I mean, I guess I don't ultimately have a problem with Hobbs winning. I just don't understand why. When it's that star heavy a match, I'm not sure why he's the one you give the nod to. But and honestly, like, I don't have a problem with Hobbs, but there's other people I would have rather seen get the win. I would have rather have seen, almost anybody. But that's not a knock against Hobbs. It just surprised me. I mean, I just, when you've got all these guys in the ring. I mean, Adam Cole could have won. You could have given it to Jay White. You could have given it to Hangman Page. I mean, even heel Ricochet at this point. But it is what it is. Hobbs got the win. Hobbs versus Moxley. Here's the thing. If the thing is that the person that got the win was going to get the match against Moxley. They're not ready to take the belt off Moxley yet. And Hobbs, even though he's a big, beefy, meaty guy, he's probably the easiest. He's probably in this match the one that's easiest for them to justify taking a loss to Moxley. Yes. So in that regard, I can understand why he got the win. It's a good feather in the cap for him. At the same time, it's basically going to result in a loss to Moxley. So I guess it is what it is. But I enjoyed the match. I thought it was very good. I'm glad Jeff Jarrett never actually got in the match. Right? Because I don't like Jeff Jarrett. Wheeler Yuta's doing a great job as being kind of the guy that gets beat up all the time. And so I'm enjoying that stuff with Wheeler Yuta. No, I thought this was good. I enjoyed it.
All right, so next up, they interviewed Jeff Jarrett because he did have a promo last week. We all thought he was going to retire. He did a swerve. Hell no. I'm actually going to go for the World Championship. Sure. So we have Alex Valdez. I'm not sure what his last name is, but he interviews Jeff Jarrett. He's like, "How do you feel right now?" And here comes MJF's music. What? So he's out here, and he's all suited up. So the one of the beauties about casino about Gauntlet is until someone gets to 1, 2, 3, you get what you call it. Someone's gonna come in next. But MJF's in the suit. That means he was not in this match, right? So he comes in. He talks to Jeff Jarrett. And he was just like, look here, like you tried your best, and I know you want to do this last little run. You signed your 1-year contract with AEW, but here's the caveat: it wasn't your choice. It was the only contract that you were offered. You don't basically you don't want to it's not your decision to leave. This is your lasting leave. So he's like, but you know what? I'll help you. So here's the thing: if you join me in helping, I'll make sure you get the championship. I'm just asking for the first shot. What do you say? And Jeff Jarrett was like, you little prick, basically. So he's like, look, I have been here. I'm a veteran. And I've seen guys come and go like you come and go. You are what you call a one-hit wonder. Fans cheer, and he was like, hey, money-wise, good t-shirt, bet, yes. He's like, so I'm not going to take your deal. I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to get there on my own, unlike you. So we know, right now, not sure what the plan is for the championship title, but more so, evidently we're not ready for MJF versus to take it, right? No matter who's the champion, we're not ready for MJF to be championship again. So I'm not mad if y'all wanna do a detour and do an Adam Cole and Jeff Jarrett program, only because we know MJF loves this carny foolishness. He loves old school promos and old school characters. Now, when I say program, I'm not saying 3 months. You wrap this. Not sure when the next big pay-per-view is. I want to say they said AEW in Australia? Tell me yes or which is in February?
I'm not totally sure.
I want to say the next one's in February. We're in January. So let's.
I know Revolution's in March, but I'm sure there's something before then.
Yes. So if the next AEW pay-per-view is in February, let's wrap this up in 1 month. And that's it. So I'm here for the 1 month program of Jeff Jarrett versus MJF. But what are your thoughts on this program? On this
I don't like Jeff Jarrett, so I'm not here for anything with Jeff Jarrett. So. I mean, that being said, I definitely don't want him to be champion again. And if MJF helps him become champion again, I'm going to be bitter with MJF. I mean, to be fair, as it is, I already have my issues with MJF. I mean, I have the reasons I like him and I have the reasons I dislike him.
Right.
I don't always like his booking in AEW. I don't like the fact that he's had that diamond ring forever. I don't. The idea of him and Jeff Jarrett doesn't do anything for me, and I really don't like Jeff Jarrett. So.
Hey, fair enough. More so for me. In my mind, my says, TK, you're smarter than this. We're not really going to put the belt on Jeff Jarrett. But never say never.
We are, but
it's like,
he does get nostalgic for things, so.
I'm not going to put my money on it. I'll just say that. So if we're detouring our way to Jeff Jarrett having a title match, I'm here for all the detours. So yes, let's prolong this and take this off the route of the World Heavyweight Championship any way possible. I'm here for that. All right. Next up, we have a in-ring segment with Adam Copeland. I am not calling him Cope. That's the stupidest name in the world. Not sure why you thought this was a good name. I'm not calling you Cope. You're Adam Copeland. Okay. So if you missed Collision, it was a 3-way. We did have a trios match with him and FTR versus the Learning Tree, which was cool, right? Pretty sure they won that. Comes out. So basically, we're promoting Adam Copeland versus Moxley. Adam Copeland's back. He's like, look, I'm here. You hurt my friends. And it ends up being that him and Darby is cool. They showed a little video package of them throwing Darby down the freaking stairs because Darby needs Jesus. I'm sorry. I'm like, sir, what is wrong? You're not on drugs. You told me this don't hurt you? What is wrong? Go to therapy. Dang. Okay. Either way. So So basically, Adam Copeland's here to avenge his friends, and he's here to take Moxley out. And in this promo, he's like, "What else? What else can you do to me? I'm not gonna say indestructible, but I've been through way more. I've broken my leg facing Malachi Black. I had a broken neck, and I came back after 10 years. So that's why you're scared of me, John Moxley, because there's nothing else you can do to me to stop me from taking out the championship off of you, right? He's gonna say more stuff, but here comes John Moxley and friends, the writers. Because evidently you can't say the first word, but I'm not calling them D-writers. That's just gross. But they come out because, you did kind of attack Moxley, and so you're going to give a little lick back. I love that Yuta is out here after doing the gauntlet. He's like, hey, it's still business, so let's go. FTR comes out because, look, we're all smart here. We all know what's coming up. So it comes out to a brutal battle. Everybody's beating each other in the audience, but the writers have the upper hand. They're beating up Adam Copeland. And, Moxley chokes him out. They're going through paper bag, but FTR saves them. Evidently, we're going to do Moxley versus Adam Copeland at some point in time. Listen, I love Adam Copeland. But I do think if you were going, what's happened? So, they're about to unalive Adam Copeland essentially. Powerhouse comes out and chases the D-Riders off. I do like that. Like, if we're going to do this match next week, let's promote it as much as possible. So, Hobbs rescuing Adam Copeland and FTR, sure, right? Hype this match up as much as possible. But back to Adam Copeland and Moxley. I don't like it because... All right, so essentially, this whole Moxley's taking over AEW thing, y'all cut off his legs. It's like no one's interested anymore. I love Moxley, so I don't care. But evidently, other people are not interested in it anymore. I think it's because of his opponents. So, you had him unalive Mox or try to unalive Danielson. Great. The next opponent was OC. It made sense, but the promoting of it before the match wasn't great. 4-way with Jay White, OC, and Hangman, it was cool, but it was still a 4-way. I think we can still rescue this storyline, but it depends. But now it really is about who Moxley faces, and even though Adam Copeland came back. For me, he's not hot enough to have this match. I would much more prefer it if it was his Moxley's next one-on-one match against Jay White or Hangman. But for some reason, we're gatekeeping and we're prolonging that. And prolonging those matches is not doing this storyline any good. So that being said, if we're going to do him versus Adam Copeland, I don't think it should be on pay-per-view. I should be, whatever your next special TV show is, do it there. But I don't think Adam Copeland is big enough. This me. Or there you go. You haven't reheated him up to have a pay-per-view championship match. That's just my thoughts. But what do you think?
I'm not necessarily the biggest Adam Copeland fan, but I do think he's probably already warmed up enough and over enough to have a pay-per-view match. I mean, him versus Moxley, I think probably has to be a pay-per-view match. I'm not necessarily, chomping at the bit to have it, and I definitely don't want Adam Copeland to beat John Moxley for the title. I don't want to see. I definitely think that should happen. But I do think that it is. These are two. Moxley, for all intents and purposes, in some regards, has been carrying AEW for years now, and Adam Copeland is, a megastar. So he's not necessarily my favorite wrestler, but you can't deny what he's been. So the match definitely should, I think it earns a pay-per-view spot, just as long as John Moxley wins. I mean, I don't know that this is getting boring per se or stale, the Moxley AEW takeover, the Moxley taking over AEW, but
Yeah.
they definitely need to do something to make it a little more exciting. And I don't know exactly what that is. That's why I'm not a wrestling booker, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's stale yet, but it runs the risk of getting stale, especially if you're going to do the same things over and over again. You know, it was very shocking, and it was kind of unique when you put the bag over Danielson's head, but now you're going to do it to Edge too. It kind of takes away a little bit from what it's you know, its impact. You know, they could do something else. So, but that being said, it's fine. I mean, you know, Moxley will beat Adam Copeland, and so I'm fine with that. You know,
Yeah.
if the issue is his competition so far and his defenses, even if you don't necessarily think it's right, a win over Adam Copeland in this run definitely makes it a bigger deal. So,
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. But I think okay, there you go. The hottest people in your company right now is Swerve, Hangman, and Jay White. And I'm not sure why we're prolonging this. Like that, I think those three, one of those three should be your next challenger.
yeah,
And so that for me, it's like, can we please and that again, gatekeeping. He Moxley is champion, so him beating any one of those three in a one-on-one match would be fine. It'll be okay. You can actually do that.
yeah, I
Right.
agree.
All right. So next, I'm pretty sure I missed it, but I will highlight that they did like a little video package with showing the whole rivalry between Christian and Hook. We're finally gonna get that match over with. No offense. We tried. It's been alright, but it's time for it to be over. Let's get the match to get over with. Let's go.
Agreed.
Next we have a backstage segment with Mariah May. And she's like, we're going. So next week we're going to have a women's casino battle gauntlet. And she was like, y'all are going to dance like the marionettes that you are, and whoever wins, I'm going to cut your strings off and burn you alive. Classic Mariah May. But here comes in Harley Cameron. This a bubble of energy and craziness that I really do love. And so like she's on, like Harley does not have a speed below 10. She's always on 10. So she was like, all right, so it's like, so Mariah's like, you didn't do anything to let you have a championship match. She's like, I don't want a championship match. I just want to defeat you. And so like back and forth. Holly comes back. She's like, it's like, Mariah's like, what? He's like, what you say? He's like, what? He's like, you're the random Holly Cameron. And so we're getting this match at Collision. I'm here for all of this. Holly Cameron reminds me of Chelsea Green. She's the Chelsea Green of AEW. So in any capacity, I want her to be on my screen. So I love this little segment so much. Any thoughts?
I mean, you know, I like Mariah May, but she's not the most liveliest person. So having someone like a Harley Cameron that can bring a little bit of energy to the program definitely helps a little bit. I mean, again, you know, there's, in my opinion, you know, there's levels to this, and I'm not sure that I see Harley Cameron anywhere near the Mariah May level. At the same time, you know, the match should be fun, and if you want to give Mariah May someone to, I guess, beat up and get a decent win over and look dominating after losing the title, then this is this is a way to do that. So it's going to be on Collision, which is fine. So
it's going to be a fun match. And now we're going our main event match, which is so freaking tasty. We get a triple threat match for the #1 spot of the women's battle gauntlet next week. Look. Again, I think TK is doing this because we're Rumble season. All right, so we're going to do as many gauntlets, but please let this be the last one, sir. Like you real life did 2 casino battle gauntlet matches in 2 months, 2 in 2 months. Like, bro, you gotta slow down. But it is a women's one, so at least it's different enough where it should be special next week. But like I said, so the three competing for the number one spot is Willow, the Tony Time, Tony Storm, and Chris Statlander. This was very much so tasty, and I'm very glad this is on free TV. All these three women, these are probably the top three women that are not champions. So this was very, very great. Of course, you know, like all of these women are strong. Like none of these are lightweight women. So this was basically a female meat fest with a couple of near falls, a couple cartwheels because we are still doing our thing. All in all, Statlander gets the 1, 2, 3. I was very surprised at this. It's not like I don't like Statlander, but I feel like if we're gonna rank the girls, for me, it's probably Willow, Tony, Statlander. So like not Statlander won, but she was just a third option for me. But what are your thoughts on the match?
Excuse me. I thought the match was really good. I was surprised that Stat got the win like you. I was even more surprised, even though I didn't want to see it. I was very surprised Tony Storm took the pin. I mean, I didn't necessarily want Willow to take a pin. But I was surprised that Tony Storm took the pin. Out of these three women, I'm kind of I'm definitely surprised that Stat got the win. That being said, both these women are going to end up being in that gauntlet match, right? It's just a matter of where they come in.
They're all going to be in there.
Position-wise, right? So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's kind of, I mean, no one wants to be number one, and at the same time, you're all getting in. So, you know, it is what it is. But, yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was a solid match. All three women can wrestle. You know, I love Willow. I love Tony Storm. I'm Metza on Stat. I liked her more in the beginning. Recently, I don't know. You know, I've kind of cooled down a little bit on her, but she's a solid wrestler. Nothing against her. I just, you know, it is what it is. I thought this was fine.
I'm not gonna say they fumbled it, but Statlander's promoting from last year was not good. So they do have to do some work in getting her back over.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But yeah, like I said, I think, and the more so, like other people said this, they have to get over the number one spot is. It's not like it's Royal Rumble spot. It's actually a little bit differently because in the thing about Gauntlet is whoever gets the 1, 2, 3 first. So if you're first, you have more time and a faster chance of getting it. But the flip side of it is you're there longer. It's like if someone comes here and can get that over, that will really help get over the thing about Gauntlet even more.
Agreed.
So yeah.
Agreed.
All right, and then next up, like I said, that was the main event. There's main event match, which was great. So they interviewed Tony Storm, and Tony Storm is in her mind right now a rookie. So she was they're in the back like, I guess it just wasn't Tony time, and you know I'm gonna work, I'm gonna get better, and so it's like, what are we doing here? When did someone hit her over the head and she realizes that she's been here for basically 3-4 years and she's not a rookie? I guess like when does that bubble pop in her head?
Yeah, I don't know, but you know, I mean, Tony Storm was really good. I've always liked Tony Storm, but Timeless Tony Storm is by far her best Tony Storm character. And so, my guess is that this is a split personality type of thing, and at some point, Timeless Tony Storm is going to come back. But yeah, I mean, even though I like this Tony Storm, she definitely doesn't move the needle for me the way Timeless Tony Storm does. So, but I like this here. I thought this is fitting. She says, I'm not ready yet. I have to earn my way. I've got to, it can't be Tony time all the time. So, okay.
All right, but I'm telling you right now. If they don't do the 3 faces of Tony in this women's battle gauntlet next week, I'm gonna be so pissed. I'm like, what's the point of doing this gauntlet if we don't get Timeless Tony Storm, rookie Tony Time, and outcast Tony Storm? That's basically the way you should do this gauntlet.
That would be fun.
Just my thing.
I'm not necessarily opposed to that.
Yeah. All right. And so so that was the main event match. But this is the main event moment. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Osprey back. Yay!
Yeah.
We have, by God, Kenny Omega is back in AEW. Like I was not. Omega's a great wrestler, right? For me, he's not my favorite, but you can definitely tell he's the soul of AEW. Where it was like he's been gone for only a year, and it felt like something was missing, something wasn't clicking, something just wasn't there. Now he's back, and it's just like we're complete. We're finally whole again, right? So he comes back. What do you think about his new ring entrance? It's gonna take me some time to get used to his new ring entrance music. I'm Battle Cry. I love Battle Cry so much. So I'm
Yeah, I
like,
mean, very rarely do I, I mean, I half pay attention to the music. Sometimes something will catch me and I'll be like, oh, that's dope. But usually I don't even notice. A lot of times they all feel fairly generic to me and very similar. So, especially when it comes to like the rock ones, I'm not a rock music guy like that. So, like, when it comes to like the rock ones, a lot of them, and I mean like
yeah.
rock music, like they all sound kind of similar to me. I don't really pay all that much attention. So, honestly, I didn't even really notice it. You saying to me adding the music, I didn't even notice it. Honestly,
You know, more so like it was new ring entrance, and I guess we're not going to do the whole who's the commentator, the ring announcer who does the whole
Justin
we
Roberts
tattoos and he's from North Carolina. Like we're not
from
going to get
North
that anymore. It's like
Carolina.
yeah, it's like we're not going to get that anymore. It's like
That was one of the
fine,
funnest parts of his entrance for sure. I mean, that's one of the funnest
yeah,
things he
it's
did. Can't
okay,
even
fine.
lie.
So he starts his promo off right. And essentially, it sounds like the same promo from this last summer. Now, I say that to say this. All right, let's talk about let's say what he said in his promo. His promo was like I'm gonna mess this word up, whatever. Something techulitis was
Diver,
basically in his gut.
diverticulitis.
Say it again.
Diverticulitis.
Thank you very much. He had that, and and basically one false move, it could kill him. He's like, thank God, like the doctor said, if I didn't go to the doctor when I did, it could have been
That's the
more
same thing Brock
severe.
Lesnar had too.
Yeah, which is yeah, right. And but we didn't know about Brock Lesnar's one, right? They just came back. He's like the doctor said, I think if I came in a little later, it could have been donezo for me. Uh, I asked when I can come back to wrestle, and the doctor was like, "Sir, you better be glad if you have a normal life." And so it's like I was at this crossroad where I wasn't sure what I should do, and basically wrestling is life for him. Wrestling is life for me, and I'm not living it to the fullest unless I'm in this wrestling ring. So I'm going to give it my all, and I'm going to be here every week. Yes, this was a great promo for me. I remember the promo last summer, and it reminded me of that promo. So that was just a little bit like, okay, you kind of said the same thing, but you're Omega, so screw it. And also, it felt like this promo was for people who didn't see him versus Gay Kid. It's like, sir, it's like you just wrestled a match, so I think we already concluded that you're back wrestling. It's like it's been different. It was before him versus Gabe Kidd, and we're like, oh shoot, is he actually going to wrestle? No, you already wrestled, so you already know you're going to do it. This was just me, but again, Kenny's back on our TV, so it's fine. Any thoughts on the promo?
I mean, I thought it was great. I mean, it's Kenny back. I mean, great. I mean, it is what it is. I have issues in general. I mean, I understand that this is real life and all those kind of things at the same time. I don't necessarily need to hear about your illnesses and your sicknesses. I understand you're a human being and all those things, but just come back and wrestle. And if you can't, don't. And don't get me wrong. I mean, like I said, you're a human being, and I get it, all that stuff, and it makes you more sympathetic, more relatable, all those kind of things. At the same time, it is what it is for me in general when they come out and, I had X, Y, Z, and I missed it, barely lived, and all those kind of. Okay, I get it. Yeah, you were okay.
Like,
Sucks,
no,
yeah.
no, no. Like, I get it. It's like more so everyone is doing that now who comes back. And it's just like, can we just get back to kayfabe storyline? Like,
I agree.
I'm tired of hearing
I agree.
werewolf stuff.
I agree. So
So,
no, I mean,
to
for
that
what it was,
note,
I thought it was fine. I mean, I thought it got interesting when Don Callis came out, which I'm assuming you're about to get to. So
that's what I'm gonna get. I think it got hella interesting. I love this is probably the best part of it for me. So Don Callis comes out, his big stupid face on the Titantron, and that stupid white noise to 10 times 10 music. It's like, sir, you're already a heel. You don't need to hurt my brain to get it more over. Either way. So he comes out. I love this about Kitty. So Kitty was just like, he's looking around. He's like, look, it's Don Callis. His boys are going to come out anytime. He's looking around. He's just like, oh, yeah, they're not here. They're not out here yet. On site. And he just dodges up the ramp and starts beating up. I'm like, yeah, let's not forget. Like, this fool hit you with a screwdriver. This is how you was out the first time. Yes, I love all of this. It's like, yes, they're gonna come out, but until they come out, I got maybe 5-10 seconds before they come out. So I love all of this. And then it's hilarious because part of his promo was, I'm here for wrestling. I'm not here for power. I'm not here to seek revenge. I'm here for wrestling. It's like, oh, except for this dude, I'm getting you. So he comes out, he's beat, yeah, like I said, he's very smart. He beats Don Callis for a good maybe 5-10 seconds, and then here comes Don Callis family, here comes Kyle Fletcher, here comes Brian Cage. They're beating him up, they're getting the upper hand, and here comes Ospreay out with a freaking chair. And it's okay. So like in reality, him and he still got beef with Don Callis and Kyle Fletcher. So he comes out with here, see that them. They do it back to back each other. Before Don Callis turned on Ospreay, Don Callis turned on Omega with the use of Ospreay. So, and then maybe it's just me, and maybe I read too into it, but Ospreay came out in this shirt that I really feel like it was the one he was wearing when he was beefing with Ospreay the first time, and before he put the screwdriver in his head. So I'm just like, oh, and then like the face to face, it really wasn't like I was trying to sell you behind. It was more so I was trying to get my look back to Don Callis. But you and I, we haven't settled anything. I still don't like you, and I love all of that. I love all of that. So I am not sure how they're writing this out, but I'm here for the comeback of Kenny Omega. And next week we get Kenny Omega in a match, him versus Brian Cage. Okay, he was in line when he said he was here every week. No time at the present, and that's the end of AEW. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I liked it. I mean, I thought I thought it worked when Callis came out and it was on site. That's perfect. I enjoyed that. Obviously, the Callis family. That's why he has the Callis family is going to come out and defend him. I wasn't overly surprised to see Ospreay just because of his issues with the Callis family. That being said, and don't get me wrong, I think that the three, I think it's two, the two matches between Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, both at Wrestle Kingdom, were, maybe two of the greatest matches in wrestling history. You don't want to wear things out, and I'm not saying. I mean, it's been a while since they've done it and whatever, but I don't know that I need to see Ospreay Omega again right now. I'm almost willing to let them wait. I mean, I know Omega's a little old. Well, I think Omega's substantially older than Ospreay, but I know that Omega's a little bit
Yeah.
older, so I don't know how long you can wait, but even a year or two if you can before you, and I know it's already been a little while, but it's like, I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, I don't know. They're so good that I don't want to see it too many times at the same time. A third time, I don't think it would be
Yeah.
a third time. Would be perfect at some point down the road. No, I mean, I could see potentially Osprey Omega together versus the Callis family would be a lot of fun, kind of mega powerish, feel to it. So, and then maybe ultimately that leads to their final rubber match down the road when they something happens or whatever. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm here for all this. I'm glad Kenny Omega's back. I'm a huge Kenny Omega fan. I'm a huge Will Ospreay fan. Seeing them together on the same side is a little interesting, but at the same time, I like it because Don Callis is a great heel, and they need someone.
Yeah.
Both guys need someone to help them, get back at the Callis family. So, who better to do it? The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? So
That's right.
it works in all those regards. I thought this was a very solid AEW. I'm gonna give this a B. I want to say I'm gonna give it a B. I wanted to give it a B plus. The only reason I'm not giving it a B is just because I thought there were some kind of predictable things, and honestly, I thought for AEW there was too much talking this week. I'm starting to feel they're starting to tread a little bit into WWE waters where they're having feels like less matches and more promos, and that I'm not here for.
Mhm.
One of the things that I love about
Mm.
AEW is that that's where wrestling happens. So, and don't get me wrong, you
Yeah.
got to have the storylines, but we don't need as many promos as I feel like we had this week, especially in ring stuff. So, but the gauntlet match was great, as was the women's for the number one contender spot. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna give it a B plus. Actually, I'm gonna give it a B plus. So that's my final grade for the week. B plus. What about you?
I give it a solid B too. Like I said, the matches that they had was excellent. Like there were never a sleeper moment. Um, it's just working the kinks out. I'm not even like it's so weird because it's not really sure what the kinks are, but we know that they're there, and I feel like they're fixable. But hopefully, you gotta fix it a little bit faster than usual. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And so, but yeah, solid B, and that makes this week the winner of the winner circle is NXT by a landslide because baby boy, that they had some great matches, we had some great title changes. It was just all around just a great freaking time.
I agree. I agree. And again, we said this before. I think it's, you know, I really take my hat off because it is a developmental show, and you're
Yeah.
beating WWE's. I mean, you can debate, and everyone has their own feelings about what the A show and the B show is for WWE. They want Raw to be the A show.
Mhm.
Raw is supposed to be the
Yes,
A
yes, you do.
show, and you beat Raw. And Dynamite
Yes,
is clearly AEW's A show, and you beat Dynamite this week. So,
yes,
I mean, what more can be said? I mean, it's hats off. It's amazing that a show that has far less talent and is most of it's developmental. It just shows how when you have proper booking and good creative, how well it thrives. So yeah, no, I thought New Year's Evil was
yeah.
really really good. It's one of the better shows. I mean, right now, I mean, obviously WW or 25 just kicked off, but it's on. I put it on my list of best weekly shows of the year. I'm going to start starting it because I always forget. Right when it comes to November, I always forgot what I watched in January. So
Right.
now I'm going to start writing them down and keeping a list so I can go back and say, oh yeah, I remember seeing this. This was one of those that goes on that list for
Okay.
potentially, not necessarily show of the year because we don't usually have that, but just shows to talk about as far as one of the better shows of the year. So
Yeah, no, most definitely. So the first winner circle of 2025, our winner is NXT.
NXT. All right.
All righty.
So that being said, that brings us to the end of the show. We will turn off the lights, as Dolores says. I don't even really know how to turn off the lights and get out of here. Let's see. I think there's a black background somewhere, but oh well. In the meantime, and Sue Lou turning off the lights real quick. On Tuesday night, join us for the cookout. We'll be back next Tuesday. I believe it'll be episode 2 of our Lucha Underground watch along. So 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, live. We all come together and talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling. Friday night fights. You were here with Anika last night. She was alone last night, as Sammy had some technical issues due to weather. But I guess we need to actually switch this. Dolores made us a new graphic, but I haven't got it up yet. But AEW Rampage is no longer on, so it is now just SmackDown on Friday nights. But it is usually Anika and Sammy Joe, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, watching the new 3-hour SmackDown, giving you their live opinions and review in real time. Saturday morning, which you're here with us now for, it's usually myself and Sammy, Joe and Anika reviewing Raw, NXT, and Dynamite, and picking a winner, declaring a winner for the winner's circle. This week it was NXT New Year's Evil. Saturday nights, we have our Saturday night is All Right Collision watch along. It's usually CM and somebody else. I'm not sure what tonight looks like. Unfortunately, it is often up in the air because sometimes there isn't always a second person to join her. So stay tuned. The best way to do is to hit that notification, that bell on the YouTube channel, and you will be notified when we are about to go live. So you'll be given plenty of notice. And then Sundays, although we're on a hiatus right now because I am away from my PlayStation, but at some point we will be getting back to Enter the Square Circle, myself and Sammy Joe, usually playing WWE 2K, but at some point we're going to branch out into Madden and other stuff too. So that's usually at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on Sunday mornings. I think that covers it. Where we go here? You can catch the audio version of the cookout on these podcast locations. If you don't have time to watch and you just want to listen, you can scan this QR code and it will take you to Linktree. And from Linktree, you can get to all of our social media from one nice location. So scan that QR code, and we are on all of these social media sites, so check us out there. Love to interact with you. Thank you to everybody that joined us today on the Clock app or was with us on Twitch. Please give us a follow on Twitch, give us a follow on the Clock app, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, hit the like button on this video, and until Tuesday, until either tonight or Tuesday, peace.
Yes, we'll see.